You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
What is up, people? How are you? Welcome to Saturday night and the Solo by Jay podcast.
Ooh, that's
We
me.
got to come up with a good name because I always say
Hi.
solo podcast. But
I think that's the whole joke, though. It's a solo podcast with Jay.
Well, you could. It's almost like like you could be the voice of God.
Oh, I'm omniscient. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so
smart move.
So we are obviously here, as I always do. I explain the platform for you here.
Ooh,
which, by the way, before I explain the platform, I got some pretty exciting
What you
news.
got?
I haven't even told Jay this, so you guys are hearing it right along with me. If everything, what's the date today?
Today is the 23rd of January.
If everything goes according to plan, which it's supposed to, next Saturday night, you guys will not be getting a solo podcast.
No, wait, why?
You will be getting Andy Brandy Casagrande. in the
No
house.
way. Are you for real?
ABC is supposed to be coming up next Saturday.
Dude,
of course,
I'm so hyped.
ABC Explorer, Andy Brandy Casagrande. He is, please pull Andy up. I mean, he's a Emmy Award-winning shark photographer, probably one of the coolest people on the planet. I mean, this dude, literally, if you've watched a shark show on Discovery Channel, Nat Geo, BBC, he's the guy that shot that film. And here he is with an Emmy right there, standing there looking beautiful.
Look at this guy,
Look at this
dude.
camera rigs over here. I mean, this guy is sharks for days. So he's literally messaging me last night. So, dude, I think I'm going to fly in next Saturday, do the podcast, hang out till Sunday, fly back on Sunday, and blah, blah, blah. And so we're going back and forth on this series of text messages just about, like, hey, I'd love to be in your vlog a little bit. I'd love to talk to you about, he really wants us to be involved in me and Jay. I'll talk about this off camera,
podcast,
but he wants to launch a YouTube thing, and he wants to see how can we help him do that. And this guy has some of the most amazing stories and
content.
Freaking believably cool guy. Love this dude to death. And literally, as we're going back and forth for a good half hour about all this stuff, he's like, oh, well, let me hit you up in the next couple of days. He goes, because I'm 250 miles offshore in a boat on a sat phone right now.
Oh, I love him, dude.
Like, oh my God, he's 250. By the way, the thought of being 250 miles offshore in a boat literally
I could see you
me
shivering.
Cringe.
Yeah.
When I dropped the phone, I was like, oh my God, this guy's gonna die. No human being should be 250 miles
And he
offshore
spends his
on a
whole
boat.
life like that.
That's like when I'm in Ivy's cage, and that's my beauty. I'm in Ivy's cage. It's my heaven. His heaven is 250 miles offshore, waiting for sharks.
Yeah, surrounded by great whites. Dude.
Now, don't get me wrong. I want to go out shark diving with this guy more than anything because I love sharks. And even though I fear the ocean 1,000 times more than I fear a shark.
I agree.
So I've got to overcome my fear of being out on a boat offshore a lot. Because I've only been offshore twice in my life where I couldn't see land. And I don't like that feeling.
Yeah,
I don't like not being able to see land, And so I need to get over that side. So anyways, I'm
just excited. That's
exactly.
Crazy.
So if everything goes well, next Saturday night, we'll be talking with him about sharks. We'll be talking about conservation. We'll be talking about all kinds of things. I mean, this dude is shot with Shaq. He shot with Snoop Dogg. He shot with
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. I mean, dude's and
decorated.
One of the most humble, awesome human beings on the planet. And literally, he has seen more of the planet than most people ever probably could. So, all right, let's get back to what we're going to do. The way this usually works is that it's got a little bit of a Q&A, right? So I do expect you guys, and I already know there's some super chats in here. Hit me with some super chats. Hit me with some questions that you want me to answer. I'm going to answer it. I usually start off with a little story time.
Story time. This is a banger, too. I like it.
It's a good one. So I'll start off with some story time about reptiles, old age. This isn't really about a project. It's about an interesting story of a guy that I used to buy rodents from when I was young, like 18, 19 years old. He was my rodent supplier here, and he lived in Detroit.
Yeah.
So this guy named Jeff Schrock, he now lives in Florida. And you guys, if you follow my vlog at all, you might remember a year and a half, 2 years ago when Miguel, Forrest, Brian Cusco, myself, and a couple other people, Stephen Cush, went on this trip to Florida, and we actually went to a place that had albino kangaroos and capybara. That's Jeff Schrock's place down in Florida. Well, he started up here in Michigan. This is the interesting story, is that he was a detective for the Detroit Police Department.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the city of Detroit, many cities are this way. You have to live within the city limits to work on their police force or fire department. So in Detroit, that's the way it is. Now, in the suburbs, it's not that way. You could live in a different suburb and county and still be a firefighter. But in the city of Detroit, to work for the city, you have to live within the city, And so he lived in the city of Detroit, and he kept reptiles. And he was a police officer, a detective. And one of his neighbors ratted him out for keeping reticulated pythons. So, of course, by the law, he's not allowed to keep reticulated pythons in the city of Detroit. Detroit, by the way, if you guys didn't know this, which is crazy, in the 70s passed a law saying no reptiles. None. No turtles, no snakes, no lizards.
Crazy.
Nothing in the city of Detroit. And that's back in the 70s, okay? And unlike a lot of cities, like New York City, by the way, has a lot of laws against reptiles. Nobody pays attention to them, and everyone keeps reptiles in their city. I know people that have hundreds of snakes in an apartment in New York City and Manhattan that are not supposed to have them, and no one really cares. It's just the way it is. In Detroit, it's different. When I was 15 and worked at a pet shop that was right on the city limits, which you guys may, everyone that comes visit here for the first time always loves it, of course. The movie 8 Mile with Eminem.
Yeah.
8 Mile is the dividing line between the city and the suburbs, okay? So basically the way Detroit is set up is that 0 mile is city center, and then 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 4 mile, and then out to 8 Mile. 8 Mile, it's a circle that goes around the city of 8 miles, and that's the city, and everything north or east or west of that circle is the suburbs, okay? We live in the suburbs. We're on 20-mile road, so we're 12 miles away from the city limit, and then, of course, 8 miles away from city center. So we're 28 miles away from the city center of Detroit, where we are right now at the Reptarium, or underneath the Reptarium, I should say, in the basement. So now you get the picture. So no reptiles in Detroit. Someone rats out Jeff, and so he has to get rid of his reptiles. That's just the way it is. Even though he's on the police force, he still has to follow the rules, and he has to get rid of them. So what he does, he researches in the laws, what's the most obnoxious animal I can keep legally in the city of Detroit in my backyard? And this goes back into like the probably late 80s, 86, 87. And he found that he could keep emus in his backyard, right? In Detroit. There was no law against keeping emus in his backyard. He knew they made a little noise. They were obviously giant birds. And he's like, it was kind of the big middle finger to his neighbor, right?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Hey, F you, I'm doing this. So he ended up buying like a little herd or whatever they call them, a flock or whatever of emus. And they were really cheap at the time. Yeah, what is an emu? What is a flock of emus? I'm assuming a flock, right? I don't know. What's a group of emus called?
It's a mob.
A mob.
There you go. It makes sense because they'll mob you for sure.
We've been in with emus that are mob you, definitely.
They're crazy.
So he buys a mob of emus. Well, he starts breeding them, and just so happens that there, and you guys may not know this, in the early 90s, there was a false market for emus. Emus went from being like almost a couple $100 to being literally like $20,000 a piece.
It's so crazy.
So Jeff buys this mob of emus to piss his neighbor off. And within a couple years, his mob of emus is producing baby chicks, and he's selling them for like $40,000 a pair.
It's so crazy.
And so he made bank. I'm talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so he started buying all his neighbors out. Like all their houses. He started buying it. So at one point, I used to still buy my rodents from him. I used to go there and buy my frozen rodents from him like every month. And so you would drive up and literally there'd be like 4 houses that all the backyards fences were taken down. And there's just like 100 emus. We're talking about a suburban residential area with 100 emus just running around in all these backyards. And he literally, before he moved, he bought the entire block. The entire block was now taken up for emus, and he was still on the police force and stuff like that. So he ended up becoming a millionaire and retiring, and then this guy just rolled in poop and came out smelling like a rose every time. So he ends up saying, fine, like, all right, I'm retiring. I need to move out to a little bit more rural area where I can have a nice farm with all my emus and get some other animals. He wanted to get into kangaroos and stuff like that. So he buys 200 acres out by the airport in a place called Belleville. Ironically enough, that's where Jay, not the Jay,
the other
Jay, Jay the Entertainer, he lives in Belleville. Well, he buys 200 acres for $200,000, $1,000 an acre. Literally, he builds a house out there, moves his stuff out there. Within like 5-10 years, this acreage is going for like $50,000 an acre.
That's so crazy.
So he makes millions of dollars on emus just because of reptiles. He couldn't keep reptiles in the city of Detroit. Then he moves, and then he starts building houses like on the 200 acres, on the other side of the 200 acres, so he doesn't even see stuff. And selling like these cul-de-sacs. He'd build like 13 houses on a cul-de-sac and sell them all for like $400,000 a piece. He's making like
bread.
So he just made. So ultimately, he ended up unfortunately moved down to Florida, because I used to love going over there and seeing it. By time he moved out of Belleville down to Florida, he had some of the only albino kangaroos, albino wallabies. At that point he had downsized his emus to only maybe 8 or 10 emus from a couple hundred probably. But then he had all kinds of hoof stock, and I mean, he's just a crazy cool dude. So I miss seeing him all the time, but now we can go visit him in Florida. But the point is that it's just an interesting story how reptiles didn't work out for Jeff, but yet this emu thing did. I thought it was an interesting story. And then I remember just before he moved to Florida, and I think this was a little puffery, you know what I mean? And for you guys that don't know what puffery is, that's just basically when people tell tales to make themselves look bigger than they are, or something like that. They puff up, right? Puffery. So anyways, Jeff, I was over at his place, and he goes, he was sitting in his living room of his house. This is in Belleville, Michigan. And he goes, "You see that house over there across the street, Brian?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I bought that house the other day." And I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Because their porch light, they would keep it on at night." And he said, "And it would shine in my window in my bedroom." He goes, "So I bought the house so I could shut the light off."
That's incredible.
I don't know if he bought the house, but it was a great story.
and not only that, but in essence, it's real though, right?
Yeah,
because like, he did buy out his whole neighborhood. Like, he did do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't for the light, but that's so crazy. What a guy, man.
Yeah, so it's just an interesting story how reptiles can do a lot of things in your life. And weirdly enough, he still sells frozen rodents. He's a multi-millionaire, pseudo-retired, and now he does breed wallabies and emus. A small level of emus. I don't think he breeds them just for. I think there's some mutations now of emus.
Wow, really?
Like white, like leucistic emus that he breeds. And then he breeds albino red kangaroos and albino wallabies and Bennett's wallabies and stuff like that. And I think he's just doing that for fun. And I know he had a pair of capybara that were super cool. I don't know if they've ever had babies. And then he had kookaburras, which are cool. That really,
one of my favorite animals.
One of the coolest birds. He has those down there. So when we go down to Florida, Jay and I and Anthony and Noah are going to take a trip to Florida when we feel like the time
when it
is
makes
right.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, in the next couple months for sure. By March, we're going to go down there. We're just waiting for things to calm down a little bit. But we'll go to Jeff's place for sure. We'll go check. And he's a character, man. He's a character. He's a good dude, man, and I love him to death. And so, anyways, that's my story time for today. And I can tell some other stories if we run out of super chats.
We got some.
Let's hit some super chats. We'll talk about some things that you guys want to talk about, and then
just go from there.
We'll go from there. And if I need to talk about some more stuff, I'll talk about some more stuff.
Ben Walker said, "You mentioned in the early days you bred green tree pythons. Can you discuss green tree python breeding? We have a pair that have bred together, but not since we've had them for over 2 years."
Interesting that they wouldn't breed. They're actually a pretty easy animal to breed, to be honest with you. The harder part with green tree pythons is really hatching them, to be totally honest with you. They're a little bit tricky. There's some tricks to hatching the eggs. Like usually you want to reduce the temperature. So what happens, a lot of people will have a clutch of eggs, and then they'll be all dead in the egg, full-term dead in the egg. Full term.
Really?
So you have to, kind of drop the temperatures at the end. A lot of times you count down the days. They do hatch pretty quick, about 52, 54 days. A lot of times cutting the eggs is a good idea to just help them get out and stuff like that. But you have to kind of do a special there. Other than that, they're pretty simple. I would food cycle probably, when you run into the season when they're starting to breed, right around, November, December, January, really hit the female with heavy food, get her feeding. And if you see copulation, it's pretty rare for them not to produce. To be honest with you, I think they're easier to get to lay eggs than even ball pythons in a way.
Really? Huh.
And maybe some of my green tree python people will say I'm an idiot for saying that, and I might be an idiot for saying that, because you got to remember I only bred them when I was young, and when I bred them, everyone that I tried to breed produced eggs, so it was very simple. And now we're trying to breed pickles for the first time in 20 years since I've done it. And it appears that I think she's going to have a clutch of eggs. That being said, maybe I'm lucky. I have no idea, but I think that they appear to be pretty easy to get to breed, pretty easy to get to lay eggs. Hatching the eggs is a little bit of the difficult thing. And there's a ton of stuff online of how you incubate eggs and how to do it. And you can talk to, Bill from Phoenix Reptiles. You can talk to Mark from Texas Chondros. I mean, all those guys are really good about
great people,
great people to talk to you about how to do it. So,
Good luck.
you'll be okay.
Hannah Hartsfield says, hey, everyone, so glad I'm finally able to catch a live podcast after a few long weeks of work. Cheers, guys.
I'm glad you are, too. And by the way, before we move on, I do want to tell anyone that watched my vlog yesterday knows that I was feeling kind of not that great. Well, it was probably more than not that great. I was feeling pretty bad for about 8 or 9 days. I definitely have, we film a couple days in advance on the vlog, so it's been a few days since that video was filmed. And definitely upticking right now, so I'm feeling much better. It was interesting, this morning I felt great. Got a little bit this afternoon, and then just before we opened up for the Reptarium, I did a tour, was pretty good, and then just the energy of the first hour of the Reptarium being open before we came down here and did the podcast made me really happy. I mean, it was
awesome.
We had some cute kids upstairs, holding reptiles.
Oh, there's going to be a piece you'll see in the video I got of this little kid on the ground laying down right in Elvis's face, and Elvis is staring right at him and licking his face. It's adorable, man.
Guys, I mean, when you see the Reptarium like that, anyone that can think anything other than magical is just, I don't anyone that could nitpick anything that we do with the magical way that this place runs is crazy, because it's so anyways, my point is I just want you guys to know, because I wanted to thank everyone for their kind wishes, their amazing outreach and prayers and support. Again, like I've said, without you guys, I don't think that I could have gotten through the last 11 months. And although I did take a pretty bad regression there for 8 or 9 days, I think I'm back on the mend. And I'm hoping maybe that was like the last hurrah. You know what I mean? Like you're getting better, and that anxiety rears its head to say, I'm not letting you go. And then finally, it's gone and it releases. And that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like it released a lot. And
that's awesome.
But I'm also going to continue to work really hard on it. So anyways, before I wanted to go on, I just wanted to tell you that, because I didn't want you guys to think like, wait a second, Brian put a video out yesterday saying he's feeling
that's smart. Yeah, I guess I don't realize, because we are a bit ahead.
Yeah, we're a little bit ahead, obviously. But I was struggling that day.
I promise you.
I was struggling about 8 or 9 days prior. I got to the end of 8 or 9 days, and I think that was day 8. And then the next day I still didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And then I started feeling better. But after 8 days of feeling that anxious, it's pretty hard not to ignore it. And I wanted to talk to you guys about it. So anyways, thank you for all the support. So, all right, back to Super Chats.
Gary says, does anyone raise or keep Texas cottonmouth or water moccasins?
Well, I'm sure they do. And I think the problem with cottonmouths is that there's no market for them, right? You know what I mean? They're, number one, they're venomous. Number two, they're not they're pretty into some people, but they're not you're probably going to keep a copperhead before you keep a cottonmouth,
Pretty bland snake.
I mean, they're probably a $25 snake if you were to produce them. So, and I could be wrong on the price, but I'm sure they're not more than $50 or something. So it's a very niche thing, right? Like you have to find someone
you have to love cottonmouth.
Yeah, you got to love cottonmouths, and you got to want to have a cottonmouth to do it. Now, I did think that there maybe was an albino. Can you punch that up?
Yeah.
Was there ever an albino cottonmouth? I thought there was an albino cottonmouth that looked really dope. I could be complete. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So now that is something.
Is this one too?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. I could get into that.
Yeah. So like
white Florida cottonmouth.
Yeah. So like, and there's a white one. It looks like it was a
pied almost.
Yeah, pied. Now that I think you could, if you could do mutations like albino, pied, leucistic, there would be a huge market for those, I would think, from a standpoint of, but yeah. Because
normally they're pretty much like this,
Yeah, it's a pretty bland animal that's not very attractive. And And certain localities are certainly better than others. So maybe the Texas ones you're talking about are cool. But yeah, that white mouth is why they call them cottonmouths.
You know what's weird too, though, is they almost have like a snapping turtle face. Like, I know that sounds weird, but like they have that weird beak to it. You know?
No, I agree with that. And yeah, I mean, I remember when I was down at Snake Road in Illinois that we didn't go to last fall. Maybe we can go to this spring. It would be really nice to go to. I photographed and I didn't catch because we didn't take them. But we came across 21 cottonmouths within an hour.
That's insane.
Within 1 hour. So they're a pretty cool animal. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think a lot of people are probably breeding them, unfortunately, because they're not probably that sought after as a normal.
Deviant Glass made me laugh. They said, "Send this man essential oils." I fucking love it.
Yes,
love
please
you, Deviant. We appreciate you.
It is funny. We always joke about that, and it's kind of it's silly in a way that like when I shout out like, "Hey, I need some paper towel," you guys crush the paper towel.
Dude.
I mean, I was getting paper towel for days.
So we'd laugh because we'd be like, "Tell him to send Kobe beef."
Yeah, Kobe beef. But when I did shout out like, "Hey, send some essential oils," I think one person sent a couple, and that was it.
That was it.
Yeah,
dude. Paper towels. I'm telling you, guys, you crushed paper towels.
Disinfectant stuff like that was great back.
Which was harder to find.
It was so so nice. I mean, we'd get those shipments of like boxes of paper towel and stuff like that, and I was just like, it was like opening up Christmas presents. I was like, oh my god, paper towel!
We got paper towel.
We got paper towel.
So
but yeah, I was surprised I didn't get more essential oil. I thought it'd be like bathing in essential oil.
Yeah, I did too.
And people didn't get that call very well, so that was all right though. But essential oils are amazing, and I do love them. I still have a bunch of my own, so you don't have to send.
Yeah, he does have a lot. I mean, go look at his kitchen, bro. They're all over. Nick says, "Hey Brian, I just wanted to say you got me back into reptiles, and now I have 25, and I'm breeding crested geckos, and even have a YouTube channel called Nick Blackburn with 78 subs. Just wanted you to know and to say thank you."
Well, that's awesome, man.
Congrats, brother.
Keep it going, man. Keep being passionate. That's all you can do, man. And I love the fact that you're into it, and I'm loving the fact that you have a YouTube channel that you're sharing, because there's not, some people might think that I don't want there to be other YouTube channels out there about reptiles, and that's just not true. I mean, the more we're out there, and even I, listen, I'm a human being, and Jay knows this. There are certain channels or social accounts that like used to get on me, like, how do they have so many followers, or why are they doing that? I mean, like, and I've really worked hard at not being that way anymore. Like, I've worked really hard at like putting that behind me, and it's that little bit of jealousy, right? I mean, obviously we all have it. We all have envy.
I like that you at least talk about it though, because most people don't even say anything, and then everyone when they feel jealous or something feels like alone. Like, why do I feel jealous? It's like, dude, that's natural.
It is natural.
Use it as motivation.
And there's no problem with using your competition as motivation, but you really, I've worked really hard, in particular over the last month, about letting go of those kind of jealousy things where, why would a channel or a social account do better than me or equal as me, that I'm like, well, who am I to decide? You know what I mean? Like, why would I think that someone else shouldn't do as good as I do? That's silly. And the fact is that if they do as good as I do or better than I do, that doesn't hurt me. That doesn't stop me.
Yeah.
It doesn't change my goal. I just need to worry about me. And so really, as I've taken this completely new thing and worked really hard on trying to re-image the way I feel about this, I've become much happier. And I've noticed that when I'm scrolling, through my YouTube feed or scrolling through my Instagram feed, and I see maybe someone that in the past I was jealous of, I no longer am feeling that way when I see their content.
That's liberating,
and it is really liberating. Worry about yourself and not worry about others. So Nick, keep banging those YouTubers.
It's a grind, but love it, man. Love that shit.
Keep doing it, man.
Simple Man says, "Have you ever thought about getting sharks?"
Sharks, yeah. Actually, yes. As a matter of fact, the goal is to have a stingray swim tank with the Reptarium 3.0, and in that tank will absolutely be nurse sharks.
For real?
And probably some, one or two other species. 100%, I'm going to put sharks in there.
I love sharks.
I'm not sure which ones yet. I don't know if nurses are the way to go. I don't know which one. I know there's like bamboo sharks, and there's
bamboos are real pretty.
So I'm going to have to find what is the least potential to bite someone and the best for that communal type tank.
Bamboo
I don't
might be
know.
the move.
Yeah, bamboo might be the move. Might be the move. So so we'll see. But sharks are going to be at the Reptarium, 100%.
Oh, fuck
yeah, 100%.
Alicia says, I know you don't take compliments well, but I must say thank you for renewing my love for animals and driving my passion once again. Also, hey Jay, what up?
Hey, thank you so much. And again, it's something I told you before. I'm working on trying to get better at accepting compliments, and I think that's about self-love, right? And self-worth. And I've told people this. It's not a secret that my self-love and self-worth has not been good most of my life. The vast majority of my life, I haven't had a tremendous amount of self-love. I've worried about making other people happy and other people fulfilled, and really my focus on myself has been, and that's one of the things that's interesting when every now and then someone thinks maybe I'll hear someone say like, oh, I just don't like his arrogance, or something. And I'm like, I don't even like myself half the time.
Let alone love.
Yeah. Like you think I'm arrogant, it's, I wish I had a little bit. Well, number one, you got to remember everyone on the planet has an ego, right? It's just a matter, is it a tiny, tiny ego or is it a, Elon Musk ego?
Yeah.
And I think that, I wish my ego was a little more to be, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
It's a horrible thing. I don't want to be egotistical. There's a difference between having an ego and being egotistical. I don't want to think I'm better than anybody, but I wish I felt a little bit better about myself.
Yeah.
Like maybe gave myself a little bit of credit for the things that I've done. And I'm trying. I'm working really hard on it. It's not easy. It's not easy when you've been beaten down your whole life by the people, that your family that you're raised with, and they've been beating you down, telling you even once you achieve things, they don't give you credit for it. It's not easy to look at yourself and say, yeah, you deserve to have.
You build that inner critic up,
Yeah, and so I'm working really hard at tearing that inner critic down and being a more balanced person and a more accepting person of that. And really, when I see people that are like, I love myself, I'm like, that's when I'm envious.
Yeah.
When someone really loves their self, not in an egotistical way, but loves herself for who they are. Like Lori is that way. She is so comfortable in her skin and who she is.
She's unapologetically Lori.
She don't give a fuck what you think about her. And I don't want to be, I couldn't be Lori. I'll never be Lori because that's just not who my opinion is. It's our yin and yang situation, which works really well. But I would like to be a little bit less
less self-doubt.
Yeah, self-doubt, more self-confident. And so thank you for your compliment.
No, for sure. And that's the thing. Even like the word ego is a misnomer in the sense that it's not about like being egotistical, like you said. It's about yourself. The ego is the self,
Yeah.
Let's see who we got next. So, perfect. We got Adam says, where do I get a good anaconda? Can I get one of Ivy's babies? ?
Well, if Ivy has babies, yes, you can.
That would be a perfect
anaconda. Primitive Predators down in Florida had some just recently born, maybe about 2 months ago, and I think they're just now starting to eat. And I can't remember who they work with. Primitive. Kyle is Primitive Predators, and then he has someone that works with him that actually had the anacondas. And I'm so sorry I'm blanking right now. I'm sorry for whoever it is that had. But if you get in touch with Kyle from Primitive Predators down in Florida, he can definitely help you out. And they looked really good. Of course, Kevin McCurley will have some, I'm sure, this summer. Hopefully we will have some this summer. I mean, obviously, if Ivy has some, that would be pretty fucking dope.
It would be so sick.
So fingers crossed.
Seth says, hey guys, first time catching you live. I have a Savannah monitor. It's pretty young still. Any tips for taming? He's kind of a monster. Also, he is a CBB.
Well, that's great.
Captive born and bred?
Yeah, right? Captive born and bred that's a great thing. It'll calm down. Seriously. I mean,
Savannahs are awesome.
are just notoriously kind of feisty when they're young.
Ours was too.
Ours was too. And now Santana's the puppy dog tame, the thing you can boop it on its nose all day long. So yeah, just do what you're doing. Keep it healthy. Don't feed it too many rodents.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Lots of bugs. They're bug eaters in the wild. People overfeed them, meat and rodents, and it's really bad. You'll shorten its life. Yeah. fatty liver disease. So do that, and it'll tame down. Just like our black throat monitor, it's a pistol right now.
Yeah.
But I know that animal is going to be dog tame here in 6-8 months. So you got to remember, some of these animals, when they're born, they're little tiny animals. They've got to have a big,
with tons of crazy, scary predators everywhere trying to kill them. So
so they have to really have a big attitude to survive. So you'll be fine. It'll be tame, I promise.
Nicole said, just for the love, hope you guys are doing well.
Thank you, Nicole. We appreciate you beyond belief. We really do.
Lizard Morph says, good day from Melbourne, Australia. Love the solo podcast. Been back and watched them all and the last 2 live. 9 a.m. Sunday is here. Just for love, keep it coming. Thanks, Luke.
Oh, Luke, man, you sound awesome, Luke.
Dude, you crushed it out there, bro.
Crushing it, bloody Mike. Bloody oath, mate.
Bloody oath.
Bloody fucking
Get your
oath,
jumper.
mate.
Let's get in the vehicle, mate.
Go freaking.
What do they call a car? Do they just call it a car?
Let's
get in the car.
Go in your park.
It's
park
almost,
your car in the car park.
I was gonna say Australia almost has like a bit of a Boston vibe in their sound.
A little bit. Yeah.
Because I've always said like Minnesota, like the Northwest sounds almost like Irish.
Actually, you know what? They could actually say Ute. They say Ute a lot because utility trucks.
No,
there's
really?
a lot. Jump in the Ute. And gotta go jump in the Ute and get some petty.
Oh damn, bro.
Fucking get some
fucking petty, bro.
Get some petty, and then get a gay time to go.
And then we're good. We're good to go with the gay time.
Some lollies, man.
And we're out there.
I'm in, man. Let's go. No, Melbourne's awesome. Very interesting town. Very different from a lot of the other. I think it's maybe one of the more unique Australian towns because it's nothing like Sydney. It's nothing like Perth. Of course, those are, you've got Brisbane, Perth, Melbourne are the major ones, and probably 80% of the population lives in 4 cities across Australia, because even Alice Springs, which everyone thinks is there's literally nobody there.
And dude, we got a confirmation. Lizard Morph said, "I drive a Ute."
A Ute?
He drives a Ute, bro.
A Ute, bro.
Dude,
bloody fucking out. You cunt.
Oh, damn. It's fine, because in Australia, it means different things.
You could say that.
Kids say that shit, dude.
Yeah, like friends,
I don't get it.
Going out with my fucking cunt.
I'm going with my cunt aunt over here. My cunt aunt's over from Melbourne.
I miss Australia so
we'll
bad,
get there,
man.
baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I've told people 9 times. I've been 9 times, so this next time I hit double digits, it's a big one for me. You know what I mean? Like
huge.
10 times and
to a country very far away.
Yeah. Well, it's like I told people, if you think about it, it's a 24 to 30 hour flight, right?
Yeah.
Right, depending on which way you go and so on like that. And so you figure that's one way. So it's a 50-hour round trip. So it's basically 2 days in the air, and I've been 9 times. So you think about that.
Days.
I spent 18 days on an airplane just going to Australia. That's not flying within the
most people haven't even been to Australia for 18 days.
Yeah, and I've been in the air for 18 days just to Australia. But
that's crazy.
And I've traveled. I've been to every state in Australia.
Wow, that's really cool.
Which is even some of my really good mates in Australia have said that I've traveled more of Australia than they have, and that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing to think about. That I've been to. The only place I haven't been in Australia. I mean, there's places. There's tons. I mean, it's a huge country, but I've been all over. I've been to WA. I've been to Northern Territory, Queensland. Obviously down to Victoria, Southern Australia, New South Wales. But I have not been to Tasmania, and that's someplace I'd like to go next time.
Yeah, we can get that viral cancer that those devils got,
Yeah,
that'd be good.
The viral.
Darth Dildo in the building.
Darth Dildo, what's up?
He says, should I get I don't know which one this is. It's Pilbara rock monitor?
Oh, Pilbara, yeah.
Pilbara, okay. Off Craigslist. That's what it says.
Wow, that would be a weird one to be on Craigslist. I would definitely make sure that you know what's going on there because that's again, that's an Australian monitor. That'd be a weird one to have. Where in the hell would that? That's
Darth
weird.
Dildo. Let me know where you're from, because that's crazy.
I mean, he might be from Australia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That point, but is there Craigslist in Australia?
I don't know. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I think it's all over the world. I think Craigslist all over.
So yeah, if Darth Dildo is from Australia and you get a Pilbara, yeah, go for it, man. It sounds cool. Those are awesome animals.
Ronnie says, catching live. Yay. Love the stories on solos. Night Fury was wild in today's video. Love seeing him.
Yeah, it's, it was a really weird thing. For those of you guys that didn't see the vlog, it's also on Instagram. Night Fury just was fired up, man. It's like normally that's why I ball train Night Fury, is so that he understands if he doesn't see a ball, there's not food. And he's done very, very well.
I agree.
Very, very well, not only on the ball training, but also on the fact that his food response, for whatever reason, when we were filming that, he just would not come out of food mode. I mean, it took us, about 10 minutes?
Yeah, about 10 minutes, yeah.
About 10 minutes of breaking him. And normally, I've never had that happen before with any snake, ever. That was the longest I've ever been with any snake, where it's just like,
pistol.
Yeah, just like will not. Every time I touch it, it tries to bite me. And not out of anger, not out of defense, out of food. It was a food aggression. But I eventually got him out of his cage, and as soon as he got out of the cage, broke immediately.
Yep.
Immediately. So I put him around my neck, literally seconds later, and he was completely fine. But normally, even before the ball, I think this is the first time that happened since I've been ball training for the last 5 months or so. Even before the ball training, when he used to do it more commonly, I could break him within 30 seconds. Yeah. Just like as soon as he realized, all right, this isn't food, I'm good, I'm getting taken out, and just getting played with. But he was on fire. And I almost got bit a lot.
Oh my God, dude. There was 2 or 3 specific times that I don't know how you didn't get bit. Yeah. And I think somehow it glitched through you. Like the snake glitched through your hand.
The Matrix.
Yeah, dude,
it was
that was
Matrix.
wild.
Yeah, I did a little bit of freaking matrixing there. But yeah, no, I thought I was going to get tagged for sure. But yeah, he's a great snake, man. Great snake.
Deputy Futbuck.
I
like
that's
the
a
name.
new one. That's a new one. We haven't had a chat from him before.
Yeah, well, nice to see you, brother. He says, actually, I met Brian. That's you.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, you over there. I met Brian at Fire and Ice, Myrtle Beach, 11 years ago.
Oh my
It was
gosh,
nice to meet you. Why did you never do Repticons? They were big shows like Repticon Columbia.
So a couple things. Number one, that was a terrible, terrible show. A really great time. Myrtle Beach was great. My family, the reason we did that show was because Lori and my kids spent the entire weekend on the beach. They didn't even come to the reptile show. I mean, they just were not at the reptile. I was there solo, and it was built up. So it was a first-time show, and really it caught a lot of momentum, right? Like people were like, oh my God, this is going to be the next big show. And so a lot of the bigger breeders and bigger vendors actually book tables. So that's what makes a show great, is to have a bunch of really great vendors, right?
Yes, of course.
And so it had the lineup that was like a rock star lineup. And legitimately, it was a Friday setup, Saturday, Sunday show, and I bet you 200 people didn't come through the door the entire weekend.
Wow.
I literally didn't even cover my gas and hotel for the show, not to mention table costs. I lost money going to that show. That being said, family loved it. I never even made it to the beach. I never even saw the beach, and it was a block and a half away from where we were staying.
Oh,
I never even got, because I was at the show day and night, and I didn't have anyone there with me, so I was solo at the table. Wasn't busy because there was no one in the place. I literally made like $500 the whole weekend.
No way.
It was a really bad show. But it was fun, and we had a good time at that show. The reason I didn't do Repticon, and I'm going to be honest about this, and I mean no disrespect to the people that run Repticon, but I felt that Repticon... and this, again, please, I don't want to make this into drama. I don't want people being like, did you hear what Brian said about the people about Repticon? I don't know the people that run Repticon. I've never had a conversation with the people that run Repticon. But I felt that they didn't respect shows that were already going on, right? I think that there needs to be a level of respect for promoters. So if a show like Tinley Park was going on, you shouldn't come in and try to steal their business. That's just my opinion. I could be completely.
I agree with you.
Wrong. I wouldn't do that to somebody. And Repticon kind of did that, right? It was more like, I guess what I'm saying is that Repticon seemed to me to be more about interested in making money for them, not for their vendors, and not for what was better for the hobby, but what was good for their personal pocketbook. Could be completely wrong, and if wrong, I apologize to them. They could be wonderful, wonderful people. That was my perception of what happened. I know show promoters that they moved in on and tried to take over, and in some cases did take over and put shows promoters out of business. I couldn't support that, right? I just felt like, I guess I could liken it to, and again, please do not make this into drama. I liken Repticon to the Petco of the pet trade.
Wow.
Like a corporation that was going to come in and try to take all the small businesses out of business and make it into that. And because of that, I felt I didn't want to be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
Again, no disrespect to them. I hope that Repticon does great in the future. I know people now that make a great living going to Repticons, let's say in Florida, that are still around. And so they're serving a purpose to the community. But that was why I personally didn't jump onto that bandwagon, is because I felt it wasn't, it just wasn't, like let's say, NARBC does such a great job of raising money for US Arc. Rami from the Super Show in California does an amazing job of supporting US Arc and other entities that are going to help the hobby. Wayne, love him or hate him, down at the National Breeders Expo, does an amazing job of raising money. It felt to me like Repticon's main issue was making them money, which is fine, because I'm all about people making money doing what they love. But ethically, I just didn't want to back that up, if that makes sense. No, it
makes a lot of sense, for sure.
And again, I apologize to the people that run Repticon if I've mischaracterized you. I don't mean it, and I don't want anyone to stop going to Repticon. Don't boycott Repticon because of me.
It's just an opinion.
It's just my opinion, and that's my honest opinion, and it probably most people wouldn't tell you the truth, but that was the truth.
Patrick says, "Hi, Brian. Seen your video yesterday. I really hope things get better for you quickly. I can honestly say you're one of my heroes, and keep it up."
Well, thank you so much. And it's like I had mentioned a little bit earlier that things are feeling much better. It was a scary time because, and I don't want to go down this path too much, but I do want to explain that, for a good 5-6 months, I was really bad, like every day, all day, never good, if 10 is good, 1 is bad, I was a 2 for 5 months, 6 months, like almost unlivable, right? And so as I was getting better, it felt so great to finally get there. Now, there was a lot of times I wasn't 100% better, but it was livable, right? It was like, things are starting to get better. When I had that regression for 8 or 9 days, the hardest part was, like, I didn't know if mentally I could handle another 5 or 6 months, right? If I was going back to where it was going to take me another 5 or 6 months to get to where I am today talking to you on this podcast, I didn't know if I had the mental power to get through it. And that's what scared me, right? That's what scared me, was like, could I do it again this close to the last time? If it happens again 15 years from now, like it did last time, it took 15 years to happen again, then you've had 15 years of good times where you have the mental ability to get through it, right? Mm-hmm. But to only have a couple months of, like, not even be 100% back to normal, but being better than you were, to go back into that hell, I didn't know if I could survive it. And that's what scared me. Thankfully, I'm feeling much better. So thank you, Patrick.
That's awesome. Carlos says, "What's up, guys? Love the podcast and the videos you guys post. Brian, tell us about Matt from Sassobek. Mm-hmm. I know you guys have a cool history with geckos."
Yeah, he's the biggest dick in the industry. No, I'm just kidding. Matt is a great friend of mine.
You talk quite a bit, right?
Yeah, we talk quite a bit. I mean, we used to talk like almost daily. Now he works as a vet tech, and I don't, just hours. We don't talk as much as we used to, but we usually talk at least once or twice a week. I mean, he got me started in leopard geckos. I bought a bunch of leopard geckos from him when I got into it. He gave me a lot of guidance, and just was always a really good friend of mine. And he's just getting back into leopard geckos now. And I think maybe he does also do some ball pythons and green tree pythons and stuff like that, blue tree monitors. So he's kind of getting back into the game, which I think is really good. Just like I said, to me, he's just been a really good friend of mine for a long time, and I think very highly of him.
Oh, that's awesome. Gary says, "For the Otter Fund," don't tell Lori.
Oh, man. How much was that?
€5. So you could pretty much buy 10 otters with that, dude.
Like, that's, because I mean, the US dollar is like garbage. €5 like worth $150,000 here.
I bought my house.
No, thank you so much. Otter Fund. Wow, man. I want otters really bad, man. Yeah. I dream of otters. I dream of otters, and they're really cute, so I think it's, we'll see, and I'll keep that €5 for the fund, and I really, what I need is probably the €5 to get Lori really drunk so she lets me have otters.
There you go. That's for the wine. That's for the fund in general.
Yeah. It works out. We obviously, this weekend is the first weekend Drogo is on display.
And he's been so cute.
And he's been super cute. And so I think that if Drogo works well, and what I mean by that is that, financially it works out. He's healthy, happy. So far, he's been super healthy and happy the 4 months we've had him. Now, can this work out, and can this be another revenue stream for the Reptarium? And it works out, and then I think that builds trust with Lori to where she can go, all right, well, it worked out good with the sloth. Maybe the otters are a good idea.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the otter experience is. The otters are a little bit different than some other things, so it's a little bit tricky. But
you don't think you could do similar to what the Sequest does, where they have like the little balls and you feed them a little bit through like
I think you
wall?
could, but I don't know if that's cool enough. I like more like what we did at Phoenix Herp Society,
where we hung out with
where you could
otter.
actually like hold them and touch them, and because they're so soft and
oh my god, they're the cutest things ever.
I think it can work, but I've got to do a lot more research, so I'll be on it.
V George threw $6.99 just for love.
$6.99.
Yeah, and that's from Canada,
well,
so that's probably what is it?
2 cents, 2
or
3 cents. So. No,
thanks for the pop.
Ironically enough, someone's upstairs from Canada right now.
How is that possible?
They flew in.
That's allowed?
Yeah, so you can so we're like 20 miles from the border, right?
Yeah.
Of Canada, but you can't drive across right now unless you're essential, like if you're a nurse or you're, shipping something or something like that. I can't see my family that's just across the border. We haven't seen each other since last year, since actually January.
Yeah.
And so they flew in. They flew into Detroit. You can fly, I can fly to Toronto.
That just doesn't make 100%. Any sense, though,
right?
But
you can't drive across the border. So there's some people upstairs.
Some Canucks up there.
Yeah, I ran into in the parking lot, and actually their friends were here. They're from Detroit, or from this area, anyways. And they said, yeah, my friend from Canada flew in just to come here. So I hope that they'll still be upstairs when we're done with the podcast, so I could say, hey.
This is weird, dude. Galaxy Reptile says, just bought a Pilbara rock monitor. Little guy is amazing. Great dwarf species. How's that possible? Are you selling one on Craigslist right now, dude? Because that's the only way that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone's brought up Pilbara monitors, dwarf monitors.
Never heard
ever,
the name.
On this. They used to be really they're not common, but you used to see them they were more Pilbara dwarf monitors than there were Ackie monitors back 25 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, they were Pilbara rocks were probably the most common of the dwarf Australian monitors, and now you hardly ever see them. So it's interesting that someone would have bought one, and someone else on Craigslist could potentially have bought one. Because you don't see them around much. It's a monitor species I'd like to get because they're pull up a Pilbara rock monitor.
It's great to say.
Oh, they're so beautiful. They're popped up right there. They're such beautiful.
Ooh, okay.
Look at that.
How did Ackies take this over? Yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, because they're more typical monitor, right? Because they don't.
This looks like little Elvis, dude. That's crazy.
They're really, really beautiful.
Yeah, almost like the spiky tail makes it like a different type of lizard,
it's almost like an agate, right?
Yeah. This has more monitor. Oh, I want one.
Yeah.
Can you put them communally, or are they kind of chill?
Yeah, no, you should be able to. Yeah, I mean, at least a pair. Maybe a trio, something like that. These might be good for those new cages.
Oh,
we'll have to get on that. I'm going to write myself a note.
Well, yeah, maybe check out Craigslist later. There should be a bunch of listings out there.
There's a bunch of Pilbaras on Craigslist, from what I understand. They're nearly giving them away in the free section on Craigslist.
Trade for a Pepsi.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, congratulations. They're beautiful animals.
Seth says, also, Jay, you're a badass. And Brian, I won't compliment you because I know you get uncomfortable. LOL. You've inspired me to get a female SD.
Sexual transmitted disease?
No. Oh, I get it. Super dwarf.
Super dwarf.
Oh, shit.
I thought he was going to get.
I thought he was gonorrhea.
Yeah, chlamydia or something.
I got Chlamydosaurus. No, he says a retic for my. Is it Kalatoa male?
Oh, yeah, Kalatoa. Yeah,
it should be a fun project.
Yeah, Kalatoas are really good. That's awesome. Good. Congratulations, and thank you for both respecting my lack of compliments.
While also complimenting.
But also the compliment. You're
it's
amazing.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. And I promise there'll be a day when I can accept compliments with
ease and grandeur.
I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it.
EJ Aquatics threw $2 just for love.
Thanks, EJ.
Our boy Josh Fenelon, who was just here not too long ago.
Just literally a couple hours ago. By the way, I'm mad at you, Josh. I'm not going to kid you.
No.
I've got to tell him I'm mad at him.
Why are you mad?
Because, man, Dude, I've been eating so clean, man. So clean.
Oh, no.
So
and
clean.
What, he got all the nice pizza?
No, he got some pizza, and he offered it to me, right? He's like, have some pizza. And I'm like, no, I can't
eating
eat
clean.
Pizza. And then they left, and he's like, I'm leaving the pizza for you and the crew. And I freaking couldn't do it.
You crush a couple slices?
2 slices of pineapple.
Where did they get the pizza from?
Sorrento's, which is a good place.
It's
a good place, man. So I'm mad at you because you made me eat pizza.
Fucking jerk. Yeah, dude.
No, Josh is
we
a
love
great
you,
dude.
man.
No, we
Seriously.
do. We love his whole family's amazing, and they spent some time here at the birthday party and had a great time with you. So look forward to hanging out with you. He's going to be our chef during the barbecue. This is very tentative, guys. September, the weekend of. Let me look on my calendar.
Yeah, please
really
do,
quick,
because I'm looking something up real quick.
Because I don't know what the actual September 13th is. So it'd be September 10th, 11th, and 12th. In that range. So say from 10th to the 12th, maybe Saturday night the 11th. Oh, God, September 11th. That's a kind of
Hey, last time we did Friday the 13th. This year we do Saturday.
Yeah, what
September
could
11th?
possibly go wrong? 9/11.
Yeah.
So if oh, my God.
How does it happen, though? It's like, it's not on purpose.
This is ridiculous, yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know, we opened up 2.0 on Friday the 13th, and then, of course, the world shut down 2 days later. So we often say, like, what possibly could have went wrong when we open up something on Friday the 13th.
Crazy to
now
think
we're
that.
going to start promoting 9/11 as a barbecue. So if the world goes back to normal-ish by September 11th, we want to celebrate the anniversary of opening. Is it the second year?
The third.
So no, but it would be the second. It'd be the first year of
2.0.
So it'd be the third year of the Reptarium.
Yeah.
Year number 3.
Yes.
So the third anniversary. So September 11th.
Yeah, I guess 2 of the Reptarium 2.0.
Right.
The second, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, because I think that we open up ironically enough, I think we opened up the first Reptarium on September 10th.
Okay.
The very first Reptarium was September 10th, if I'm not mistaken. So September 11th, Saturday, if things go well, we're going to do a big bash here, open to whoever wants to come. And Josh is going to be the barbecuee because he's a chef.
He also said, thanks so much for today, guys. Everyone had an absolute blast, and you're all the best. We love you, man.
Yeah, we
Seriously.
love you too, man. We appreciate it, man. His daughter gave me a cool sloth. Did you see the sloth cup that
Yes,
she gave
I did. That thing was
you put hot
badass.
water in it, and it turns into a sloth. I love it, so that's awesome.
OD Reptile says, I ordered 2 Leos from you. Beth is awesome. Like, we don't know that. She's a sweetheart.
No, Beth is great. We were just talking about that, how we're really, starting to get like the dream staff, you know, where just like every aspect of everybody that's involved in my business, our businesses, I should say, are really rock stars, I mean, like the best that we could ever imagine. And
which is not easy, guys. I hope you guys know that. I know it might seem like, oh, dream jobs, everyone's going to be the top notch. Most people don't want to do the work that they think they're doing. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, there's a lot of spots that the turnover is great, and but we're getting, and now I think as a business owner, my job is to keep those rock stars happy and to keep them here forever, not just like, oh, I'm going to work this way. I was telling someone earlier, I think that like BHB as a beginning was kind of like everyone was going to work for me for 2 to 5 years. Like that was it. That was the shelf life, Every person you hired, you knew was going to leave. Now, most of my crew, there's a couple people that are like that. They, like Olivia, for instance, is, she wants to be a vet, so she's going to school. She's not going.
Yeah, she's
probably not going to be here eventually. But most of the people that work for me now, I think will work for me the next 20 years.
Yeah, I agree.
And now it's my job to make sure financially they're happy, benefit wise they're happy, and
enrichment wise,
and life wise they're happy, and that's what we're willing to do. We're willing to do everything we possibly can to keep the staff that we have.
And that's a good thing for you people starting businesses or doing anything. Like, obviously in the beginning you can't do that always, so you just you try to find the people. But when you have people that will do will treat your business like their own. Yeah. That's
it's important.
What you
got to reward them.
Because it's not often that happens.
No, and we're very blessed. So Beth is great. She's a wonderful person. I'm looking for a camera guy and an editor because my guy's an asshole. But
out of here, dude.
No, I'm very blessed, and not Jay obviously is not only great with
my brother,
dude. But we're best of friends, brothers, and I couldn't imagine every day without him. So I love you, Jay.
Love you too. V George came back. He gave us another 2 cents Canadian money, $6.99, but our money.
So what is the $6.99 about?
It said, saw you today in a virtual tour. Was wondering if you could ask to see specific animals. Had a great time with Jay.
Yes,
you absolutely can.
So I'm sorry that you didn't do that.
You just probably didn't know if he could.
So if you ever do a virtual tour with us, you can guide the entire tour. You could be like, hey, can I see this? Can I see this? Can I see this? Can I see this? 100%.
Jay would love that too.
Yeah, Jay probably would enjoy it better than him having to do it himself. Because I know when I used to do virtual tours, I don't do them anymore, just because I'm too busy with everything else. I loved it when the
people would get into it.
Be like, yeah, hey, could you show me Verde? You know, and then you just go and do it rather than like, here's this, here's that, and Jay probably. So yes, please in the future do that.
Bald Reputation says, what would you tell, I'm guessing, someone that is going into breeding as a full-timer?
Yeah. Well, I would first say don't go into it too quickly. Yeah. Okay. So make sure you're ready to go in it full-time, because what you have to remember is, okay, when it's a hobby, let's say you have a job and you're making $500 a week, right, at your job, and you have your reptile business on the side. And so that $500 a week you're paying your bills with, right? You're paying your rent, you're paying your house payment, whatever the case may be. And your business on the side is growing because all the money you're making, you're putting back into the next project, new rack systems, new this, new whatever the case is. As soon as you stop making that $500 a week on the job, and now that $500 a week has to be stolen from your business to pay your bills or whatever the case may be, however much money that may be, you're now stifling growth.
Yep.
And if you go too early in a business and start stealing money from it, that business will die. You got to remember that, unfortunately, 90+% of all business fail in the first 2 years.
Yep.
Right. So I always think be very conservative and wait it out till you. It's almost
until you can't work.
Right. This
job.
Is what I've said.
I agree.
When you start working and it's costing you money to work, that's when you need to quit.
Yep.
You know?
It's so true, dude.
When you say like, okay, I made $500 this week, but I could have made $700 if I was home. $700 more than what I would have made. Like I would have made $700 more than what I would have made if I went to work.
Yeah,
that's when you quit your job.
Yep.
Don't quit it before that, because if you do, your chances of success are
far
radically less. So keep that. Most people in the reptile business that had been successful really had really great seed money from a job, a career, retirement fund, whatever the case may be. And it's really difficult. Even most people don't know this, but I worked a job for 5 years. Yep. First I worked a pet shop. I was working at a pet shop, and then went right from the pet shop to a real job. What I hated the job, but
I know.
A job I hated for 5 years. And that's what it was. I got to a point where I was losing money working. And that's why I quit.
Yep.
And I went to my boss, and I was making good money at this place. And I went to my boss and I said, I just can't do this anymore, because I could make twice the money I'm making here at home with the amount of hours I'm putting at here. So I've got to go and do my own thing. And realistically, I look back and I think I worked that job about 5.5 years. I tell people all the time, I think I worked 2 years too long.
Yeah.
I think if I would have quit 2 years earlier, I would have been ahead of the game.
Further ahead, yeah.
But that still meant I spent 3.5 years doing something I hated.
In order to do what you love.
Yeah, in order to do what I love. So that's my advice to you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I always, I love the saying where it's, do what 99% of people won't do, so you can live like 99% of people can't live.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing to do.
It takes a long time to get there. It does. It's not overnight.
Solid Serpent says mole snakes from South Africa. They look like Pituophis. Why are they not popular pets over here?
It's a great question. I think they don't eat rodents well, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that because I've never worked with them, but I believe that they're not as easy to. I think they're like a lizard eater or something like that. And then the other thing is I just don't know that they get exported. Like take for instance a snake I love is Cape file snakes. Look up that. And these things are freaking incredible. It's one of my favorite. I mean, it's one of my favorite snakes.
It almost looks like that dragon snake or whatever it's called, right?
And they're being bred very very commonly, but they're being bred pretty commonly over in South Africa, and very few people have them here in the country. So I've been trying to get them imported for the last couple years, and I'm hoping this year we can actually import some Cape file snakes. I know there are some in the country, and there are some file snakes in the country that aren't Cape files. Not as pretty, right?
Yeah, those are gorgeous.
The Cape files are the ones that are banging, man, just absolutely incredible. So I've had the opportunity to maybe even pick up a couple of the other African files, and I just haven't been interested in them. I want the Cape files. So I have some good friends of mine, Ralph, ironically enough, over in down by Durban, who produce a bunch from Ultimate Reptile Exotics, and they are going to send me some this year, hopefully. I mean, they say they're going to, so I really hope that happens because they're really cool.
Christink says, it's probably Kristen C, but it looks like Christink. But anyway, Kristen and Andrew are wondering, when do hognose hibernate? I just got 2, and for how long and what temps?
So I'll tell you what I do. That it doesn't mean that you can't do something different. But what we do is we brumate. We take stuff off of food about the end of October, and we leave them off of food for about 3 weeks. And then around Thanksgiving, about the 3rd week in November, we put them down, and we cool them down anywhere from 52 to 60 degrees. And we keep them that way for 3 months. Now, you could hibernate different. I wouldn't go colder than 52, but you could go warmer. You can go 60, 65 degrees and just do a shorter period of time, do a month and a half, 2 months, whatever it is. But typically about a 3-month brumation is the way to go at 50 to 60 degrees. Again, the warmer it gets, the more weight they're going to burn off during brumation. So just keep that in mind, and then bring them up sometime right around middle of February or so. Start feeding them and breed them. That's simple.
Feeding them
and breeding them.
Seth says he was the one that was talking about his Savannah monitor, and he said, well, thank you for the reassurance. I hope he does chill out. He also won't tongue feed.
Not uncommon as youngsters.
Yeah, they need to get confidence.
Yeah, they just need to get back. I've never seen I shouldn't say never, but it is really rare to see a mean Savannah monitor, and it's also very rare to see a mean blackthroat monitor as an adult.
They're very similar too, right?
They're very similar. They look,
especially in stature and stuff.
Yeah, just obviously blackthroats are bigger, but they look almost the same. Besides that, very similar animals. So yours will mellow out. I mean, I just can't imagine it won't mellow out. It'd be such a rare thing for your Savannah to still be a jerk when it's bigger.
Becky Gallant says, glad you are feeling better today. Sending virtual hugs.
Thank you so much, Becky. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's it's a good feeling to feel good. And
it is though, isn't it?
And Saturdays are long days. They're a little bit trying, because we get here early. I'm here before 9.
Yeah, 9.
And then
here till 9.
Then we're here till 9, and it's full of tours and events, and obviously we spend close to an hour at the Reptarium before we do the podcast. Then we do the podcast for
we film before.
Yeah, we film before, and then we work, and then by the time we close down, by the time I get home, it's 10:30. So I leave home about 8. So it's a good 15-hour day. And a lot of my days are 15 plus hours, but it's a busy 15 hours.
Yeah, it's jam-packed with stuff.
It's like there's never a break. You don't sit down and relax 1 minute of the day. So Saturdays are probably the wildest day of the week for me.
So to feel good on a Saturday?
Good on Saturday is good. And going home tonight, it's the only day I was telling, for those of you guys don't know, I love saunas, right? I'm a sauna addict. And so I have a sauna in my backyard, and as well as a cold tub, which I haven't used recently. But because it's just too damn cold outside.
The normal tub's a cold tub at this point.
Yeah, it's really cold. But so I was thinking about that. I got my sauna on July 1st.
Yes.
And take away the 13, 14 days we were gone, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously I wasn't in town, as well as the couple days we were gone to Florida. So say 15, 16 days, whatever the case is. I think there's only been 4 days since July I have not done a sauna.
That's so sick.
4 days, so I do it every day. But it is hard to do them on Saturdays now that it's cold, because it takes about an hour to warm up. So if I get home at 10-ish, it doesn't warm up till 11, and then so I don't. It sucks. It's the only thing I hate about Saturdays. I don't get a chance to do a sauna.
You gotta just tell Noah. No. That's part of your life, and everyone has that thing. But you should just tell Noah to turn it on.
I usually
at like 8 o'clock.
I do sometimes do that.
That's what I'd be doing. You got a son that lives at home, boy. You turn on my sauna. Or you get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'd be doing.
I do it a lot. I mean, I call Noah a lot. He's always great about it, but he's probably like, I know.
I know.
And sometimes, it's funny. Sometimes he's been good lately where it's like, if I get home, he knows I'm going to be home at 9. He's like, I turned the sun on.
That's my boy, bro.
Like, I love you. I love you. Yeah. So, take the initiative.
Ace says, in your experience, are male retakes more defensive than females?
It depends on the time of the year. Let me tell you what. When you be careful handling a male retic during the breeding
penalty
season.
Severe.
Yeah, if you have a male retic around a female during the breeding season, during the cool down, you will get effed up if you're not careful.
Like hospital.
Because they don't just bite, they rip. So other than that, off of the breeding season side of it, not really more.
I think
more
they're pretty similar, right?
Pretty similar animals, really. And males can be great, but boy, I tell you what, when they're ready to breed, man, how you can tell is when they buck you. So when you touch them and they go buck, 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 stay away from them, because at that point they're gonna screw you up, and it's not. That's not a food aggression like Night Fury was. That is the bucking is
they kill each other like over females, right?
Yeah, even I saw who did this just recently. I don't know if it was Brian Cusco or somebody. I think it was Brian Cusco. Now I think about it, had literally a male in with a female, and literally it got like an 8-inch gash down her back.
Yeah, they're razor blades in their mouth.
Yeah, I mean, can you pull that up just really quick? Pull up a male retic, male retic bites female or something like that, and just you can see like this. I don't know if it.
Let me see.
I mean, there's always. I wouldn't do videos. I wouldn't do that. It'd have to be an image for sure. Okay. You can see right there, right down to the right.
This one?
Yep, right there. Bam.
Yeah, this is a great example.
That's what male retics do.
I remember, it's funny, dude, because and you guys might not know this. Like, so when I first came here, I actually asked you about doing a piece with one male retic. I don't remember who it was, and you told me that because I thought okay, you're getting bit by snakes. I've seen you get bit by snakes before, or whatever. You were like, no, that's a hospital visit.
Yeah,
and I was
you
shit.
You could see what that female looked like. I mean, that's your arm. That's your arm,
and not only that, your arm's worse because this is
that's
armor.
Leather. That's leather. Yeah,
your arm's gonna be melted.
I'm just skin. That's leather, and that happens. And so male retics are really tough, man.
Yeah, be careful out there.
Just during the breeding season. Outside of breeding season, or if you don't keep them around females, completely fine. Like we have males and females in the same room at the Reptarium, and they're fine. 100% fine. If I were to, that's one of the reasons why I didn't breed Night Fury this year to Butterscotch, is because I didn't want him to get into breeding mode, because then I couldn't take him out for the public to handle. And he's such a popular snake to handle. Yeah. I just decided, it wasn't worth,
Two swings wasn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
Rosie says, hi, Brian and Jay. Thanks for always inspiring me.
Oh, thank you, Rosie. No problem, Rosie. Appreciate you, man. It means the world to me.
Mike, the jeweler guy. Hey, what's up, guys? Hope y'all doing well tonight.
What's up, dude? I hope you're doing good too, man. Miss you, man. And I hope you'll be out for September 11th.
It'll be a blast.
It's gonna be a blast. Oh my God! Could you? That's maybe the flyer. Maybe that's the flyer we make. September 11th.
Barbecue.
It's gonna be a blast,
dude.
Oh my gosh, Jesus! We're gonna have the NSA here, the FBI, freaking TSA.
I think they're knocking on the door right now.
Yeah, like what is going on? Damn. Speaking of the FBI, I just saw a video from Roman Atwood. I know you like Roman Atwood.
Yeah.
I guess the reason he stopped doing videos, for those you guys don't know, he's a guy who has like 15 million subs on YouTube. One of the OG vloggers,
I'm confused on what you're about to talk about.
Yeah, he said that he stopped doing videos for the last year because of stalkers.
No,
I get, and apparently the FBI has made arrests, and there's people that are going to go to jail. I mean, like literally, they were like hacking his accounts. They were like getting his electricity at his house shut off. They were literally like stealing his key fob codes and
like
turning his cars on in his parking or in his garage.
Yeah, that's scary shit.
I mean, like really, really heavy duty, like at his kids' events and stuff like that. And so he stopped doing YouTube because he was so fearful of his family's life, because he lives in a pretty rural area in Ohio, outside of Columbus, and I guess he was so fearful that the FBI had to. I mean, supposedly, the FBI, he said in this video that he had a friend pass away, and he went to his friend's funeral, and that these stalkers made death threats to him about going to his friend's funeral, and so the FBI had to literally do surveillance at his friend's funeral.
Jesus, dude.
So I mean, that's crazy. We've had some interesting people that have been obsessed with us, but never to that extent. I mean, that's dangerous. That's dangerous, and so I feel really bad for him. But apparently, maybe now he'll come back, which I like, because Roman's a really positive, upbeat dude, and real nice guy. I've met him a handful of times. Super nice guy. So, so hopefully Roman will be back.
Jack says, "Hi, Brian. Hope you are feeling okay. Been a massive fan since I was 13, and now I'm 24. I'm from the UK, but I'll make it out to you one day. Do you like Dave Kaufman?"
So
isn't that crazy to hear, though? You're you were just a wee laddie.
Yeah, you're a wee lad. Now you're drinking pints of Guinness.
Isn't that crazy? Love that.
Wow, thank you first off. I think it's awesome that you've been around for that many years, and it is interesting to think of someone that's 13, so young, and now you're an adult man, and I've been around for that long. It's kind of weird, right? And as far as Dave, listen, again, I always am truthful about everything with things here, and you can take it for what you. And I personally have no problem with Dave. Dave has, quite frankly, on a handful of occasions, not been very pro me. Although to my face, he's been my friend. I know behind my back, he's not been as pro me. So, listen, I think it's sad. I think Dave thinks that I shouldn't be as successful as I am online, and that he should be more successful online. And that comes from a lot of inside sources. Really close friends with him have told me this, and his actions have proven that to me. When people say, well, Dave doesn't have a problem with you, I always say this one thing: why doesn't he follow me on anything?
Yeah.
Why is he not subscribed? He doesn't follow me on Instagram, doesn't follow me on Twitter, doesn't follow me on, so obviously Dave doesn't like my success, quite frankly. And I have no issue with Dave. I wish him the best in the world. He's fine. He's good friends with a lot of my friends. We used to be good friends. There was one video he did that really was not very good about me. He didn't say my name. He just said, some things that were obviously pointed directly towards me, and everybody in the world knew about it. Me and Dave did talk about it face to face. I confronted him on it. And that's that, and like I said, I have no beef with him. I don't care. His success or failure doesn't have anything to do with my success or failure. And I have no reason to not want him to succeed and not want to. I think that he has a good message, that he wants people to love reptiles. I mean, that's a great thing. But like I said, just some of his actions have caused me to not have him in my inner circle, let's say.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Prehistoric Companion says, "What up? Listen to you guys on my mail route daily and helps me get through my day. I've been greatly inspired and started my own channel and collection."
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And I always think about mailmen. Yeah, it's a weird thing, right? I think so. Listen, when you were young, did you like mailmen at all, Jay? Or you apathetic? Like it didn't matter?
Okay. So maybe I have a weird experience. We always had family dogs. My dogs always hung out in my front yard with my mom. So we were always very tight with our mail person, whoever it was.
Right.
But that's my weird experience. So I don't know if that's...
Yeah. No, well, my point is that, like, when we grew up, like, the mailman was, like, maybe we were really lucky. His name was Butch.
Yeah.
And we loved Butch.
Okay, yeah. So then, yes, we loved our mailman. Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I mean, he was like, we looked forward to him delivering our mail every day. He was like a hero, like a neighborhood hero.
He brought the letters from Auntie.
Literally, like, every year. And I wonder if it's different now than it was back then, like every year, like you would give your mailman Christmas gifts.
Yep,
and
we would too.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's that way anymore.
I don't think it is.
And I don't know if it's because the other thing is, I know in my neighborhood anyways, we don't have the same mail person at all. There's a woman the one day, a guy one day, there's this person, like it's never the same person for more than a couple weeks. And I don't know if it's just my neighborhood that's that way, because Butch was literally our mailman from when I was a child until I was probably 15 years old, until he retired.
Really? Yeah, that's crazy.
And so he was just part of the thing. So anyways, I don't know why I got off on the topic of that, but my
no, because the guy's mail route. But I agree with you.
But that's awesome.
It's interesting.
You know? But I will say this: I don't know where you live, but man, would I hate to be a mail person in Michigan. You know?
Oh my God!
I mean, could you imagine being out there all day long for
freezing, bumpy ass roads?
Yeah, like snowing, raining, you know, just
we appreciate you is pretty much it. Unless you work for Amazon, which I got a bone to pick with y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all can talk to me after the fucking podcast.
Screw your Amazons.
Bullshit.
Steve
Bezos. I'm covering Steve. I love that you mix Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos.
I always call him Steve Bezos. I always call him Steve Bezos. I don't care his name is Jeff Bezos. To me, he's Steve Bezos.
He's Steve motherfucking Bezos.
He's Steve Bezos. That's all. That's how he should be called.
Nick Blackburn came back and said, I also have 2 piebalds. Ball pythons that are 2 years old, and I haven't seen any breeding action yet. How come? And what's your thoughts on mangrove monitors?
Well, we talked about mangrove monitors
just
last week, actually, ironically enough. They're really cool. I like them a lot. As far as your ball pythons, you know, it's not every ball python breeds, you know.
It's true.
It could be a female not producing follicles. It could be a male that's just lazy. And there's some tricks you can do, like averting hemipenes, you know, putting other male sheds in, combating males. But sometimes a male's just lazy. I mean, even with us, I mean, we have still right now, I think I had to replace like 9 males, or maybe 8 males that just didn't breed this year. I mean, and some of them bred last year and just didn't have any interest in breeding this year. And I finally had to, you know, now that we're 6-8 weeks into the breeding season, you had to make decisions like, hey, it's time to change a different male.
Yep.
I know it sucks. Maybe you only just have a pair of pies and you're like, but that's the downside of maybe having just one pair of anything, is that not just if you have one pair, it doesn't mean they're going to breed.
It's literally putting all your eggs in one basket.
Like, so sometimes it's really good to be diverse and have 2-3 different males and 2 and 3 different females, and that way you can combine things. I think they're, you know, it's like blue tongue skinks are that way, right? You could have 25 male blue tongue skinks and maybe 4 of them breed. And if you don't have, and it's not the same 4 from last year, you know? So a lot of people make the mistake like, oh, well, my male can breed 6 females. Yeah, but it's got to be the right male that wants to breed 6 females, you know, because maybe 6 of the males will breed 0 females, and then you get the one that breeds. And that would happen with our blue tongue skink
really?
production
That's
almost every year, is that 70% of our males don't breed.
Yeah, a couple
not
will carry
even one,
the whole
and then
colony.
the couple carry the entire colony. So
interesting.
So that might be the case. Or just be patient. Sometimes they'll breed.
Cerebral says, both my girlfriend and I love the show. Could my girlfriend Emily get a shout out? We appreciate all of you guys.
Emily, shout you out.
Yeah, you just got shouted out.
How are you, Emily? If Noah was here, he'd probably hit on you.
Yeah, he'd be like, oh, baby,
like,
baby Emily, oh, girl.
Could you slide into Noah's DMs real quick?
Yeah, send a couple feet pics over there.
Yeah. He's like, that's my girlfriend.
Yeah, wait, what just happened?
Emily, we love you. We love you, Emily.
You. And Cerebral, we love you too.
We love you too, Cerebral. Is he in X-Men?
I hope
Cerebral?
So. I think it's Cerebral Caillou, so he's in a couple different shows.
Oh, okay, good. Nice. I love you. I watch your stuff all the time.
Ronnie said, my boys want a ball python. We are torn between Banana Cine and Candino, but the Invisible looks awesome too. Jay, you're killing it too. You guys sweet.
Yeah, you know, I mean, those are 3 fucking bangers, man.
Yeah,
I
think...
You know, I mean, literally, you can't go wrong with any
Rate
one of
them,
those.
though. All right, if you had to choose, if you could only have one top, let's do first, second, third, and I'll go mine next.
I think, gosh, this is really tough. I think I love Banana Cinis. That's always going to be the number one out of those 3. It's literally a tie between Candino and Invisiballs. I mean, they're really 2 different animals, and I love them both. I guess if I had to really get pushed, I might put Invisiballs at second,
I would too.
And then Candino's third. But that's a really close. I mean, they're really there, and really all 3 of them are like 1A, 1B, 1C, as opposed to 1, 2, 3.
But if it makes you feel better, we both put Banana Cinnies at the top, so that's what you should get.
Yeah, Banana Cinnies are great.
Let me see. Let Roses Burn.
Hey, what's going on?
That's our girl.
How are you? We love you.
She said, so I have a huge hibiscus outside my front door because my bearded dragon loves them. But the leaves on my tree look different than the ones you give Drogo. How can I tell if it would be safe to send you some?
So I think that we talked with the USDA inspector, and he talked about a lot of leaves that are good for them. So any hibiscus is fine. I don't know what the species of hibiscus that we're growing is. Lori and Jay would know that. But my understanding is any hibiscus is good. And there's he gave us a list of a whole bunch of other leaves as well, that we could, foraging leaves that he could eat. So yeah, we'd love it. I mean, if you could, that would be so dope. I mean, it'd be so nice. Maybe just send us like a few in a
because he's very picky.
Yeah. So if you send us a little Ziploc bag with maybe a half dozen leaves in there, we can try. Just mail it to us or something like that. And then if it doesn't eat it, then you don't have to kill your tree. And then, but if it does, then we could maybe have you send it more frequently. That'd be dope. You're always great. Thank you so much for all your support all the time.
Blue Salad said, did you ever visit House of Pets in Garden City, Michigan? We both grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, and I would visit them for my exotic animal fix.
Yeah, it was a guy named Larry that owned it, Larry from House of Pets, and it was a great place, man. I mean, it was really iconic. Don't know if it's still there. I haven't been. Obviously, I don't do pet shop anymore just because I don't have time. Not that I wouldn't want to. If I had a day off, I'd love to go to some pet shops. I still love pet shops. I really do. But that was a freaking hugely iconic place, and it was definitely one that I used to go to. It's like 45 minutes away from me, so it wasn't like I'd go every day. Because some of you guys may not know, when I was 16 and got my license, before me and Lori met, I had a girlfriend named Heather. Sorry, Lori. And literally Heather probably hated me because it's probably why we aren't together. Is that like every day after school, I would like go to like 7 different pet shops every day,
just to check
every single
out,
day. I'd go from this pet shop to this pet shop to this pet shop to this pet. And they always had like the same thing I'd be like, maybe they got something new in, whatever. And I used to pet shop literally every single day. So I still love pet shops. I just don't have time to visit them as much as I used to.
Sharon Reeves says, hello, Brian and Jay. Just sending some love.
Hey, how are you? She's always great. I appreciate you, Sharon. I always look forward to your comment each and every day on the vlog.
Emily Baxter says, hey, Brian, sending lots of love. Odd question.
Yes.
What is your least favorite ball python morph, looks or whatever, if you have one? That's a good question.
That's a great question.
It's a hard one, too, because my answer is like for a different reason. Like, I like the individual animal, but I don't like how it mixes with other things. That's what
What's that? Champagne? I'm
sure
you're going to say that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because it's almost like a 2-part thing, right? There's like the actual animal and then what it can do.
Yeah.
I think like spot nose are very underwhelming.
Ooh.
I don't like that spot nose hardly at all, but I think what they do with clown is amazing, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, you add spot nose to any of the clown stuff and it's crazy cool, so but I always think that spot nose were always very overrated when it came to the actual animal
morph
itself, especially because the Powerball that is the super spot nose is not viable. Unlike the Lori ball python that is viable, or the super red axanthic, which are all kind of in that same ilk, spot nose and Lori and red axanthic. Spot nose, the Powerballs typically are lethal or don't thrive very well. Let's say some live, but not very. There got lots of neurological issues and stuff like that. But then again, you mix them into clown, and it's like like unlocking the Mona Lisa, So, but I still like them all. I mean, there's not. I don't look at any like I don't like. They're all beautiful in their own right, And because most of the ball pythons, with the exception of the last maybe 4 or 5 years, when I haven't been as intricately involved in the ball python community, almost every mutation has a special place in my heart because I remember the first person that produced it.
Yeah.
I remember the first offering. I remember the story behind it.
Yeah.
I remember everything. Now there's more mutations available out now that I know of, but I don't really know the back history of. Like, I don't even know who produced the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're not as special to me as the other ones are. And it's not that I don't want to follow along. It's just that, we always talk about bandwidth, and there's only so much bandwidth in life, and I'm so focused on so many different things that now that the investment ball python world isn't my thing anymore. It's hard.
Can't let it take up that space.
Yeah,
it's just impossible.
But
it'd be like you're not going to learn everything always. You just
although I still love some of the new stuff. I mean, there's no doubt. I will say puzzles.
Dude, puzzles are tight.
Yeah, so I busted Miguel from Always Evolving Python's ass. I busted his balls so bad about puzzles because he was spending a bunch of money on puzzles, and I'm like, dude, those are so stupid.
And they are dope.
And they
shit.
are. I admit that I was
good.
wrong, man. The puzzles are pretty badass, man. They make some pretty darn good mutations. I wouldn't mind adding. There's 2 mutations that I'd like to add this year. Tri-stripe.
Tri-stripe? I think
tri-stripe.
there's 3.
Of course, blackheads. Yeah, blackheads, of course. I just missed the boat on blackheads. They've been around forever, and they're not even, that crazy anymore. But I'd like to get into blackhead stuff a little bit more this year. Tri-stripes and puzzles. I'd like to get into puzzles, too. I like the monsoon stuff as well. I don't have any of that, but I don't know that I would invest in it because, again, that goes down the path I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down to I'm producing investment quality animals.
I would look at it just like get something so that we have like a cool video. Like, cool, like badass. These are producing. These are the eggs we got.
And it's just stuff for me to play with. So I have plenty of genes to play with. We have a ton of stuff to play with. But adding tri-stripes, I'd like to do that.
You start getting this new looks and stuff that you could start working with, which would be cool.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any that I don't like.
The John Slayton says, spent 7 hours getting a new tattoo yesterday.
Nice.
And now sore and glad to have you to watch. Sent Jay a photo on IG.
Ooh, cool. Yeah, I'd like to check it out. I miss getting tattooed. I don't like getting tattooed. You guys see, I got a lot of tattoos. I want to finish my arm and I want to finish my chest, and then get started on I've got my leg started, but I want to finish my leg, and then eventually probably do my back, and then probably my stomach. I'm sure I would, and then I'd just be suited up, and it's, I love the art, right? I love the art behind. And so my arms and chest are done by Bob Tyrell, and I want to finish my arms and chest by Bob Tyrell. And then I want to tattoo collect after that. So I want to go to all the famous artists and get one tattoo from each of them. There's so many guys out there, from Paul Acker to Nico Hurtado the list goes on and on. There's so many great artists out there that are guys I want to get work done from. So, and thankfully, because of my involvement with Bob Tyrell, guys like Nico, I could get in with because they're friends with Bob, and these are guys that, unless you're super uber famous like The Rock, you're not going to get in with them. But because of my, Bob being a good friend of mine, he can make calls for me to get in. And that's what I've told him. I said, after this, I want to, tattoo collect, and all animals. I want to do all animal sleeves. Oh, that's so, okay. So it's a
Darth Maul. That's pretty
Darth
badass.
It's nice. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it came out great.
Yeah, nice.
Oh,
Good
look
job.
at that with all the Jennings on the bottom and stuff. That's cool.
Looks good. Where's that actually at?
It looks like it's on his arm, maybe?
Is it the back of his arm, or is
it? It looks like, like forearm, like here.
Yeah, back forearm. Yeah. It's a little bit of a tasty spot. Not too bad.
A little
not
tasty. It's a little sally over there.
Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's down by that wrist will hurt a little bit.
The wrist is one of the worst spots I've gotten done. It feels like someone's bone sawing you, which is great.
But I tell people all the time, I've had 100+ hours in the chair, and not 1 minute of them have I enjoyed, but I love the art. To me,
I agree.
10 hours of pain is worth a lifetime of beautiful art, and that's why
it's so funny. I feel the same way. I always I'm like, when people are like, I love that feeling, I'm like, you're bugging.
Listen, I don't know that anybody really loves that feeling. You know what I mean?
It's not great.
It's like, how can anyone love? It's not terrible.
Because it's not like acupuncture. It's not like like something that is sadistic type. Like, it's more just very annoying. Like, it's scraping with a metal needle.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, every tattooer I know, because obviously I get tattooed by Bob, but I know a lot of other tattooers, and every one of them say they hate getting tattooed. Every single one of them is like, I hate getting tattooed.
And they'll have tattoos all over their face.
They'll be like tattooed from head to toe, and they're like, I hated every minute of it. So, and I think they're just being honest. And I'm not saying there aren't some people that are like, oh, I love their tattoo.
Yeah.
But I think anyone that's really I think it's like people that say they like it just think they're cool for saying they like it.
And that's why I don't say it, because I feel less cool.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm like, no, that's not cool.
All right, let's see what we got next. The next one is from Little Bogus. Says, for the Otter Fund. Appreciate you, Bogus.
Man, Otter Fund. Yes, we're getting them going. So we got to get. I've got to decide what kind of otters I want to get. And
what was the one at Phoenix, dude? Because that thing was so chunky with the big face.
I just think it was there. I think it was just a river otter, if I'm not mistaken.
It was so cute.
But there's Asian. There's all kinds of different otters. And I've got to just find out which ones are the best. And then you want to have 2 or 3 because they're very playful, and they need to be. Being solitary.
It's like a water ferret.
It's not the best, but yeah.
Research to come.
Yeah, we just like I did with Drogo. It's going to take time. We're going to have to research it out and get it done.
Maya says, "Love the podcast."
Thank you, Maya. I've got a blacktail creebone named after you.
Ooh,
Maya.
Sherry said, "Glad to see you back on the bright side.
Yeah.
Setbacks are inevitable. Seeing you overcome yours inspires us all. Positive vibes coming your way to help with any cloudy days ahead."
Thank you so
much.
much.
Beautifully said.
It's really
Good
great,
job.
and that's the whole point. Of what I wanted to do, right? Is that I wanted to show people that you can have setbacks, but you can continue to push forward. It's very easy to swim in it,
Tread
and when
water.
you start to swim in the feeling, you can get bogged down in it. And somehow you've got to break that cycle, and it's very difficult. It's not easy. And that's the thing, right? Whether it's depression or anxiety, it's not easy. It's not a simple thing, I mean, I saw this YouTube video the other day, and it was a guy, like kind of a meathead dude, big old muscle meathead dude, and apparently he was business savvy and worth a lot of money or something. I have no idea, but he had this thing like, these people that are, and it's exactly how he talked, right?
Yeah.
It's like, these people that had a bad childhood, they need to just suck it up, use that as motivation to be successful, blah blah blah.
Not everyone's brain works like that, bro.
Yeah, not everyone can do that.
Sometimes it destroys the fuck out of you.
Right, yeah. I mean, I wish that I could just say, all the trauma that I've had in my life.
I can use as fuel.
And it's funny because we were on our way back from Cleveland recently. And we somehow I got on the topic of all the things that had happened to me from,
like family.
Like some pretty deep
heavy
stuff.
shit.
Some pretty deep stuff. And Lindsay was with us from Iowa, and she messed me up. She's going, I felt so bad for what you've been through,
Yeah.
And most people don't know the things that I've been through. I don't talk about them that often. But some people can really overcome that, and they can really overcome it without any problems. Other people, it really is like a ticking time bomb. And listen, it's just the way it is.
That's why there's a field of psychology with millions of different specific sub-professions, because everyone handles it differently.
And listen, right now in this world, I was talking to one of my therapists a couple days ago, and she said that like every therapist she knows is like can't even take new patients because they're so booked right now. So anyone that suffers from any mental health right now is typically suffering way worse because the world is a mess.
Yeah, because normally these people are suffering when the world is the constant. Now the world is the variable, and you are the constant and a variable, and that's where it's difficult.
And one of the things with anxiety in particular is control. You know, and so what happens is a cycle is that you want to be in control of every situation. And then when you feel like you're out of control, then you feel you need to figure out a way to get back in control. So you try to find answers how to control things. How much, and this is a lot of my anxiety, guys, over the last 11 months has to do with the virus, Not that I'm worried about catching it and dying, just about the world, and the uncertainty of what's happening, the lack of control. I remember sitting in my living room, and I've told this story before to my friends. I know Jay has said this, heard this. I sat in my living room, probably the end of March. I remember the exact moment, sitting, looking out my window and feeling the oppression of what was happening. And the fact that we had no idea what the future was going to hold. We had no idea how long this was going to last, how bad it was going to get, how hard it was going to be to navigate. And that moment was when my anxiety started massively. Prior to that moment, I was doing fine. In that moment, it was downhill rapidly. Over a 2 or 3 week window, I went from being like a little bit anxious to being completely messed up. And so, like I said, so you want control. There's a pandemic that you have no control over. Then your mind says, I need to figure out how to control this, when you have no control and no possible control. And there is nothing I can personally do to control it, right? The same thing happened recently with the vaccine. I started like getting obsessed with the vaccine. Like, all right, if they do 20 million in December and 30 million in January and 30 million in this, how many months is it going to take before we hit that? Blah, 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 blah. And I started like trying to think like I was somehow going to figure out the magical way to get enough vaccines. I have no control over it. So what you need to do from an anxiety standpoint, because most people with anxiety deal with control issues, is literally get to the point where you just don't care about controlling anything. Like you just let everything happen the way it's going to happen. And that's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not a thing that you can switch off. And me and Brian talk about that all the time because, you know, I've been through anxiety as well. So like, you know, sometimes we'll talk to each other and try to figure out a way to like, hey, what's going on right now? And like, say if there's a stressor or something, it's easy to say, well, just don't think about it. But your brain is constantly chattering and talking to itself, and it's hard to do that. So
no, it's just the way it is. But I mean, so anyways, we'll get there. We'll get there. I promise.
Delilah said, "Hey, Delilah, what's in Nike, New York?" Said, "Just sending some love."
I feel bad for Delilah.
Oh, every time
Every time that happens, I'm so sorry.
It's crazy because if you didn't say that, I was going to say that.
That's so sorry, Delilah. It's a beautiful name, though. It's just a beautiful name.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Delilah. I'm sure you're a beautiful person.
And it said, just sending some love. You guys are the best. Say hi to my boyfriend, Neil. He loves you.
Neil, what's going on? Neil, you are a lucky man to have
And if
Delilah
you don't sing Hey There, Delilah to her every night, I don't know what's wrong with you, Neil.
You should count your blessings that you have Delilah, Neil. And if you don't, Noah's taking her away from you.
He's already sliding in them DMs,
Noah's already going after Delilah. We need some baby Delilahs around his place.
Oh, shit. Creme de la Clutch said, made it tonight. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much, Creme de la. It's awesome to have you. You're always a great supporter, too.
I like that, Creme de la.
Creme de la.
Mike, the jeweler guy, says, I follow pretty much everyone in the industry, but Dav just has always come off as odd to me. Seems super persona-y, and like that's not him off camera. That's what Mike said.
Yeah, listen, like I said, I've got, no personal beef with him. I've got no reason to care either way if he's successful or fails. I don't, so I wish him the best. He's friends with some of my, obviously him and Brian Cusco. Brian, I just talked to yesterday. Brian, I think the world of, and him and Dave have a great relationship. And like I said, I really wish that, what I really wish, to be totally honest with you, is that Dave would just whatever his name is, I would just come clean and just be honest with me about his
feelings and shit.
Yeah, the fact that he's tried to backstab me a lot and tried to get people to not follow me because of that, and I think that we could repair that relationship if there was some honesty, just like, hey, I did this, I was stupid, it was jealousy, much like I talked about earlier in this podcast, the fact that I had some jealousy over a few people. I was able to admit that jealousy and say, hey, this is wrong, it's stupid of me, I shouldn't be jealous of these people, I should be like, we all boats rise in the tide. And it's not like me to be jealous of people. It's just not. I just don't normally do that. I actually am not a guy that wants to see anyone fail. Anyone, even my enemies, I don't want to see fail, because what does that help me? You know what I mean? It doesn't help me to see them fail. So I'm not a guy that really lives in jealousy. And so with these very small number of people that were causing me some mental grief because of my jealousy towards their success. I realized that was a problem that I had to deal with for me, not for them. For me, I had to get right with that. And so yeah, man, listen, I don't want people to not follow him. I don't want people to not like his stuff. I just some personal things, like I don't know why he has an issue with my success. He shouldn't, but it's, and he won't admit that he does. And that's maybe more of the problem.
Amber said, sending positive vibes. Thank you for being awesome, Brian. Hey, chat gang.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I probably am getting myself in trouble being so honest, but because that will get back to him, and it'll get back to, anyone I talk about, it gets back to him, and I'm open about it. But I think honesty is important,
I agree. I know it's hard, and like you said, yeah, it does. It's gonna get back to anybody, but
yeah, because anything.
But if that's honest, people, like, hey, what do you want, dude?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
That's the situation.
Yeah, and it's the way it is, and I think that I've got to be transparent about everything that I think about, the political correct things. Oh yeah, great guy, love it. I'm not going to lie to you people. I'm going to tell you the way it is, and hopefully you will respect me for that, because now I'm going to be honest about everything, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm not beating around the bush. I'm always going to do that, and that's not only in the podcast, but also in our videos and in Instagram and everything. I'm going to always be honest with you guys, and there's nothing that I'm hiding,
Beautiful. Scottish Rob said, any advanced suggestions to switching a baby ball to frozen thawed? Got 7 of 8 hatchlings switched. The last one's being a pain.
Sometimes they can be. Sometimes it's really difficult, but at the same time, if you can try superheating the frozen.
Yeah,
so what I do is, you thaw your rodent out, you put it in pretty, not scalding hot water, but water where if you put your finger in it, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Put it in there for like 30 seconds. Get it out of there, dry it off real quick while it's still superheated. Put it right in front of that. Some people even use a hair dryer, believe it or not.
That's true. I've heard that.
And that's another technique. And sometimes that's probably the easiest way to get them switched over. If that doesn't work, there's not much you can do. Just keep trying. Some will switch and some just won't. But 7 out of 8 is pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's
really good.
Average.
You're doing fantastic.
Let me see. Ben said, what animal did you handle or had a close encounter that you never thought you would get a chance to? And then asked me, most memorable photo of an animal. You go first.
I do know what that is. It was absolutely when I was in Jakarta, and I handled the marine iguana. A baby marine iguana. I never thought I would ever touch a baby marine iguana.
I know, right?
In my life, and that was it was a shocking experience. I've talked about it. I don't know that it was a good experience, because I don't think that someone should have a marine iguana. It was obviously a smuggled animal, illegal as shit. Private individuals should not be keeping them. They're just not something that people should be keeping. They need very specific diets, like algae, and so on like that, that you're not going to be able to provide in captivity. But I did handle it, and it was one of the craziest animals.
I couldn't even imagine seeing one.
It was like a little baby
Godzilla.
It was literally a baby Godzilla, and so I was shocked about that. Again, not proud of the fact that
it was able to happen.
Yeah, I wish that it wasn't there, but and maybe even in retrospect, maybe now. I'm a little bit more mature than I was then. I might even have not wanted to, because there's sometimes where I'll go like, wow, that's wild to see that, but I don't want to even touch it because I don't feel good about this,
Right.
And I think now I may not have even handled it. I might have been like,
really?
Wow, dude, you have a fucking like Appendix 1 critically endangered animal that is only in one spot in the entire world.
In your hands.
And you somehow have someone stole this from that country and smuggle it into your country. I shouldn't probably have even I shouldn't even have said, wow, this is cool, because it's not. It's really not cool. So, but that was a wild animal, yeah.
This is probably, it's hard, man. I mean, there's the white cobra that was a big deal for me, because that's like one of one in the world. That's a pinnacle.
Yeah.
But let's outside reptile world. This photo right here I took in Florida. It's of a burrowing owl. They're also a very endangered animal. And it was, dude, Brian. So like I'm driving around. Maria was working. I was off, and I'm driving around, and I seen it poking its head out. So I crawled up, laid on the ground like prone army style, and laid in a bunch of fire ants to get that photo.
Oh, nice.
And I was probably within 4 feet of a wild one, and it was screeching right in my face.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so that was really memorable. That was a really cool one.
No, that's great. And that's a great story too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, getting the fire ants, that's the best part of it too.
Oh my gosh, fire ants are nasty shit, man.
Simple Man came back and said, do you know anybody breeding Fowler's toads? I remember seeing them all the time at night here in Iowa, but never see them anymore. So I would like to buy some to maybe kickstart them in my town.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's a vigilante.
Wow, I legitimately can't tell you one person that I've ever heard of that have bred Fowler toads.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I know they don't work with them, but the guy to probably talk to is Josh Willard from Josh's Frogs.
Yes.
I mean, he does not breed them, but he
will know.
He would know if someone was breeding them. And Josh is a really interesting guy, by the way. I going back and forth with him a little bit on emails over the last week or so.
Yeah.
And I like that guy a lot.
Yeah.
Josh,
he's sweet.
He's a sweet dude and really good company, really good ideas. Josh's Frogs is a solid guy, solid.
Oh, that's a
company,
solid place for
and
sure.
So we were talking, and I hope that we'll be able to work together on some projects here coming up, because we have very similar thought processes where we maybe at one time were very focused on growing our businesses, and now a lot of our focus is on growing our hobbies.
That's awesome.
Like the hobby of reptile keeping, and not as focused on the business side of things. And so we have although maybe our paths are pretty different in the sense that I went the social media route and YouTube and all that other stuff, whereas he's going a completely different route. But he, talking with him, he was very focused on spending a large percentage of his time not on growing Josh's Frogs business. He has other people to do that, much like we have people to do that for my companies. But now his time is being spent on hobby-related things that can grow the hobby, which I find very interesting. So I think that the fact that we have the same similar ideas, even though they're different paths, somehow we can join together and maybe make it even stronger. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if there'll be something there, but I hope there will be.
Creme de la Clutch came back and said, wait on my blackhead clutch, Brian. Could have a super blackhead leopard clown, so you could catch up. That's a banger.
Yeah, if you crush that one, you got a customer.
You got a customer right there.
Customer, I'll buy that. As long as it's worth under $150.
Yeah, I'll buy that some bitch tomorrow.
I'll send you two bits.
You want some merch? I'll send you some merch for it.
I'll trade you a Drogo shed.
Ooh, Drogo shed.
Shed hair. Yeah, I'll comb his hair for you and give it to you. No, but seriously, if you do produce something cool like that, reach out. I'd love to jump into something. That would be dope.
Scottish Rob says, would you like me to send you a blackhead baby? I hatched out some cool ones.
Dude, seriously, reach out, man. I mean, I want to get into the project just because I think they're really cool.
There's some cool stuff that we saw with all that.
And you got to remember, I'm just playing now, I'm just playing. I'm just having a good time.
Painting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Bob Rossing it, man.
Bob Rossing, baby.
Put a little blackhead on your shirt.
A little smiley face.
A little bit of
it's a happy little ball python.
Yeah, I'm just making happy snakes, man. That's all I'm doing.
That's it. And then Civil Man said, what is your favorite encounter with a saltwater crocodile?
Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff. So let me. I'm going to give you two. First one was Adam Britton, who's one of the leading crocodile guys in the world. Lives in Darwin, Australia. He's actually an Englishman, but he lives in Darwin for many, many, many years. And he has about a 16, 17 foot salty Parosis that is named Smog. And he built a pond where there was a fence divider in the water. So you were able to get in the water with snorkels and go right to the fence. And he of course, trained the croc to come to the fence, and then he would throw a frozen chicken in, and it would explode literally inches from your face. And that was one of the more exhilarating things to the water's not crystal clear. It's a pond, it's like murky. And I remember being underwater right on the fence. And of course, the first thing he said, do not grab the fence. Do not put your hands on that fence. And so I remember my face being like an inch away from the fence, and just out of the murkiness, all of a sudden appears this 16, 17-foot saltwater crocodile. And it literally comes right to the fence. My nose and its nose is legitimately 2 inches apart.
So crazy.
And I know there's a fence there, but man, it's a wild experience to be that close to a big salty and just have that small barrier between you.
So scary.
And then of course I hear the chicken breach the water, and it just goes boom, and that was probably one of the cooler experiences for sure. And then I think the only other experience I can say with any Parosis, and I love every experience I've had with Parosis have been amazing because they're one of my favorite crocodiles. But when I actually was able to go down the Adelaide River with this crazy guy on a pontoon boat, and we were able to actually feed the wild crocodiles in the river. So these weren't captives. These weren't in some. These were wild crocodiles. And literally we were just in a pontoon boat. I mean, the crocs were bigger than the boat.
Wow.
And that was a pretty amazing experience as well.
Yeah, Mr. Fancy Pants. Mom's at Gatorland with Savannah.
Yeah.
I love it. But still, an amazing. I mean, dude, they are monster big. So scary.
They're big. They're big animals. Really cool.
High Class Python says, love for you guys. Brian, my female usually eats rats, but after I started breeding, she likes mouse or mice.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Will she still be able to go eating mice? And also, I have a 650-gram male that doesn't seem interested.
Yeah, so the male may or may not breed, but as far as the female, there's a couple things. Number one, I had a clown ball python. As a matter of fact, the second clown ball python that was ever brought into the country before they were proven genetic, I bought. And ironically enough, I bought it from a guy named Joe Fossey, and he said it was a jungle ball python, and it was a clown ball python.
Interesting.
So we had the second one, and her entire life only ate mice. But I would feed her like 10 to 15 breeder mice every feeding.
Wow.
But yeah, she never ate a rat her whole life.
So the same amount of calories in mice.
Yeah, just mice, which is a pain. It costs a lot more money to feed 10, 12 mice than one rat. But I did what I have to do. But that being said, I've had very good success with feeding a mouse, and then right after they get done eating that mouse, throwing a rat in, and they get into that food mode, and they'll take the rat, so they get everyone knows. I mean, anyone that keeps snakes knows that right after a snake eats, you open up that thing, and it's just like, I'm gonna eat again, and so you use that feeding frenzy to try to do that. That will sometimes happen. And then as far as your young male, it may or may not breed this year. It's 650 is fine. It's got plenty of weight on it. And it's still early, I mean, we breed kind of earlier than, I remember last year, Miguel from Always Evolving Pythons was here in March, and he was like, I've hardly had anything breed.
Yeah, we were already we were
already
getting, right?
No, we weren't cutting, but we had eggs on the ground and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he ended up having a banger year, it just his stuff bred, and instead of December, January, February, it bred, April, May, June, and he's still crushing baby snakes right now. And really good year. So don't give up.
There you go. Kaylee says, hey, Brian, my boyfriend and I love you so much. Today is his birthday. Could you say happy birthday to John Johnson, please?
John Johnson.
Great
happy
name.
Birthday, man. I hope you have an
Happy
amazing
birthday.
day, and celebrate, do something awesome, love yourself, and I hope you have an amazing birthday, seriously.
Yeah, we do. Simple Man says, what is the regular price for a blue-eyed Lucy? I've wanted to get one, but was wondering if I should just get a regular ball python for my first snake. I'm going to tell you to get whatever you want first.
Yeah, I mean, so blue-eyed Lucies, they're not that much. No. I don't know, $300-400.
I think $300 to $450.
I don't
depending.
I don't even know, but they're not that much. So my question to you is, and I love normal ball pythons. So if you want a normal ball python, get a normal ball python.
I have one.
But if you want a Lucy and you're going to settle for a normal, get a Lucy, seriously, because that $300 more that you're going to spend on a Lucy as compared to a normal, but you have to look at that snake every day for the next 25 years. Just spend the $300. I mean, it's save up extra. Don't get the snake this month and get it next month or 2 months from now. Save the extra $300. If you want a Lucy, get a Lucy. If you're like, hey, I could use a Lucy or a normal, doesn't matter, then just get yourself a normal. You know? But seriously,
but if you're pioneering for that Lucy, guess what? You're probably going to have a normal Anna Lucy in a year and a half.
Yeah. Or you're going to unfortunately be like a year from now, go, well, I want to get rid of my normal to get this Lucy, and that's not fair to the snake. You know.
I agree.
So just get the Lucy if that's what you really want.
So smart.
And I know we have a bunch, actually. Not that this is a sales pitch, but I was surprised. I went downstairs today. I don't look at what we have for sale hardly ever.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I don't think they might not even be on the website, to be honest with you. But there was about 15 Lucy's down there. And I was like, wow, for this time of year, we have about 25 pieds and 15 Lucy's. I'm not sure any of them are on the website yet. But they're there, and they're going to be on the website soon. So if something you're interested in and they're not on our website, call us, and we've got them for you. So, or get them from somewhere else. Doesn't matter to me. But you know, I'm just saying we will have some.
Maria says, what are your interests when you come to Alaska? I can't tell you any reptile type thing going on here, but the Alaska Zoo isn't going to do it for you.
Oh, Alaska Zoo is not good, huh?
Probably not a lot of visitors.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I would definitely go to the Alaska Zoo because I love zoos.
Yeah.
But that would not be my destination if I went to it. I would think that if you gave me a list of 100 things to do in Alaska, it's going to be 99th to go to the zoo because, I mean, Alaska is just so beautiful. I have no expectations to go when I'm going to Alaska other than to see nature. I don't even know if there are reptiles in Alaska. I mean, I'm sure there are something, but I'm sure it's probably not much in Alaska as far as reptiles go. No, it's just about scenery, about mountains, about beauty, about
taking that
wildlife.
Last state off. There's a bunch.
I mean, it's just I feel like there are certain places in the world, like Africa, that have a spiritual energy to them. Right. And I think that Alaska's going to have that, you know, much like Arizona, Wyoming,
Montana.
Yeah, Montana, you know, you get in, you know, some parts of South Dakota that we were in, you know, there's a very a great energy. And I think Alaska will probably have an energy that I've never felt before. And so that's my only expectation is to try to feel like, one with nature. You know, I mean, I want to be able to breathe it in, experience it, feel like, you know, what it feels like to be in an area that is still one of the most untouched areas in the planet. And it's a beautiful thing.
Sweet. Let Roses Burn asks me, Elvis or Pickles?
Ooh.
I mean, Elvis all day. The better question is Elvis or Toothless. And I honestly, that's where I'm kind of stumped right now because
that's a tough one.
I think if you ask me in 2 years, Toothless probably, but right now Elvis just because he's
so
big and he's handsome and
he's
chill.
Amazing, yeah.
But what about you, Elvis or Pickles? What would you pick?
Oh, and I mean
Elvis. It's fucking Elvis, dude. He's the king.
I love Pickles. She's beautiful, but you know it's
you don't get to interact like that.
It's not a you don't have a relationship with a green tree python. You can admire a green tree python.
But I love Elvis.
But you can have a relationship like you have with your dog or cat with a monitor lizard.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's so amazing. We were open obviously before we came down here, and that's one thing. It happens almost every time we're open that there'll be a mom or dad or whatever, and their kids are doing all this stuff, and they're just like, I just don't understand. Like, how are these animals so tame? Like you know, I know you guys know what you're doing, but my kid is like Jay said, Elvis was literally
licking this kid's face,
licking a kid's face. And I know that sometimes the parents are like, oh my God, this is not good. You know, this is a reptile. And so the relationship that we have with these animals is so special. But don't get us wrong. We understand they're animals. So I talk to my crew all the time about, like, you look at Elvis as, make sure that Elvis doesn't think that kid's nose is chicken. Right?
Yeah, because it's not impossible.
It's not. I'm never going to say it's impossible.
Of course.
It's very unlikely.
Yeah, and especially when everyone's got their eyes on them, it's a lot more difficult. You know what I mean?
Right. So I mean, so I never want to put a kid in harm's way without being very aware of what the potential is. But it is pretty special and pretty magical.
And then the last one is the Herp Preacher.
Oh,
and it says, how do you get over losing your favorite pet? His was Mitch the Savannah Monitor. When you know it was something like a mistake that you made, I'm having a hard time with this.
Listen,
it's happened to me too, man.
That's the hardest, you know. And first thing you've got to remember is that we've all done it, right?
Yeah.
You know, we've all made a mistake that has cost an animal a life. If you've kept up animals for any length of time, and it is much more difficult to get over it when you know that you've had a role to play in the demise of an animal. that being said, mistakes happen, and we learn from those mistakes. If you didn't care, it was your fault, and you didn't care, then you shouldn't keep animals anymore, right? And it's not easy to lose an animal even when it's not your fault. And that's just as tough in a lot of ways, because emotionally you've lost an animal you love. But when it's something like a heat tape malfunction because your thermostat went out and you feel like somehow you did it, or you were soaking an animal and you forgot about it and it drowned, or you put it, you put your animal, you were traveling from one place to another place in the summertime, and you thought it was okay in your car, and the car overheated, and you know what I mean, the heat from the sun.
Literally what happened to me. Yeah,
and I mean, we've all done all those things. And those are very difficult but you can't beat yourself up,
Well, you know that you love that animal more than anything, and that has nothing to do with your husbandry, to the sense of like that you didn't care.
Yeah, and if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. Just don't make the mistake again.
That's
right.
And because then it's a habit.
And don't let it steal your passion for getting another one or replacing it in some way. You're never going to replace that animal 100%, but to stop keeping reptiles or beat yourself up and start taking away from the joy you're going to get from keeping other reptiles. It doesn't do it. It's not going to bring that animal back, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying don't take culpability. You should, and feel bad, because we all do. But at the same time, get past it and realize that you didn't do it out of malice. It was a mistake. We all make those mistakes, and sometimes we get away with it, and sometimes we don't.
Brianna, this is a good question. Hi, Brian and Jay. I love reptiles and was wondering what career you guys think is best to work with animals while making a decent amount of money. It's almost an oxymoron.
It really is. It's very, I'm obviously extremely blessed to work with animals and financially do very well.
It's not the norm.
It's very, very hard to do that. I mean, it's like 1%, one of maybe 0.1% of people can actually, and it's very difficult because you don't want to go into animals because you want to make money. I didn't do animals because I wanted to make money, and really the money I've made, the reason why we're financially good is not because of animals. I mean, it is because of animals, but not
directly.
Not directly. It's indirectly because of animals, because of YouTube, because of investments, because of businesses I've opened up, because of different things. The ability that I got from keeping reptiles and breeding reptiles, I didn't make my money from breeding and keeping reptiles. It gave me opportunity. There were times I made money, but the money I made keeping and breeding reptiles over 32 years didn't make me wealthy. It was other things. So to me, it is an oxymoron,
Yep.
Like you get into animals because you want to be rich in experience, not rich in money.
Yeah. You're doing it to be able to spend most of your life with an animal. That's right. What it's all about.
And even with me, even though financially, I'm pretty decent, that was never my goal. My goal wasn't that, it still isn't, No,
if it was to make money, you wouldn't be doing animals, because it's probably the most difficult way.
And it's so funny because every day I get in my truck and I think of how funny it is, what kind of a bizarre, paradigm I'm living, in the sense that, like, financially, we're pretty solid, and yet everything that I do, it like lives like a pauper. You know what I mean? Like I literally, I'm like the millionaire driving the 1965 beat up truck. Mine isn't actually. That's almost nostalgic. Like, that's cool.
Oh, you got that cool 1965.
Mine's a 2012 Chevy that is starting to rust out. That's beat up and it looks like shit. And I'm walking around with like ripped jeans. And
it's the animal mentality though, because you're not doing it for that money, baby.
Yeah, so even though I could buy, any vehicle I wanted, it's like that's not what I'm into. I'm into just kind of doing my thing, and I would rather spend money on my animals, or expanding the reptarium, or buying that new cage, or buying the new animal that's going to bring people joy.
Than on yourself.
You see, I've got no jewelry other than a wedding ring, and I don't have watches, and I don't have fancy stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with those things. I'm not ever going to judge people for surrounding themselves with things, It's just not me, and I can't imagine anybody, not one person, that would meet me out on the street
You got a Cheez-It shirt on.
Yeah, I got a Cheez-It shirt on. I mean, there ain't one business person on this planet that would come to me and go like, this dude's a good
Well, didn't you even have a time where you were trying to look for a truck for Noah and the person like shivved you away?
Oh, yeah. Literally, Noah and I went up and went to this dealership, and Noah had, quite a bit of money. He was going to buy. He could buy it outright cash, but I want him to build his credit. So I said, just put like 50% down and do the rest on credit, because then that builds your credit, And we literally walked up to this sales guy, and this guy like literally blew us off to the point. He's like, I'm like, yeah, we're looking to buy a truck. He's like, well, they're right over there. And I go, well, can we tell us some price range or something like that? He's like, yeah, it's on there. And this was like a high end, like a nice. This wasn't like mom and pop's car dealership. It's a nice car dealership. This was like a car dealership that people like go to buy vehicles.
And that salesperson writes their check with talking to you.
Yeah. And literally this guy couldn't give me 2 minutes of time. Not 2 minutes. And I just thought to myself, you have no idea. You know what I mean?
Like if you were walked up with a suit on and a Rolex, he'd be talking to you.
Yeah, I mean,
and you could have no money in the bank.
Yeah, exactly. And you probably don't have any money in the bank.
And that's the number one thing I learned. Like, I don't know if you guys have sales jobs, but if you ever do, like, never sell out of pocket. Don't sell out when someone looks like you. Sell everybody like they. Like, you should go up to Brian dressed in a Cheez-It shirt just like you should go up to Brian dressed with a Rolex and a suit on. It's the same person,
And I love it because it is funny. Every now and then I'll get into a situation with a Cheez-It shirt on, and and I'll start talking to a financial guy or something like that, and it's always funny when all of a sudden it clicks.
They're like, when they're like, actually crushing.
Fuck, this guy actually
knows what he's doing.
This guy has more money than I have. You know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because I don't care, because I don't need to impress anybody. I don't care at all if anyone thinks that I am financially good. I don't care what people think when it's like, it's just I think that again I've told this story to Jay before. There was a guy named Stuart Williams, who is the Williams and Sherwin and Williams, the paint company. His grandfather actually started the company. And I spent some time with him. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And he always told me, how I know when someone doesn't have money is when they have a bunch of fancy things. He said when they're driving a BMW and they have a Rolex and they have, a fancy this and that, he goes, that's when I know they don't have money. He said, because guys like me, we can't impress our friends. He said, because our friends are all hundreds of millions of dollars or billionaires. I ain't going to try to
impress the dude that has a jetpack.
He said, so this dude was worth hundreds of millions, and he was driving around in a Jeep Wrangler, man. That was what he did. He just drove around. He looked normal, whatever. And I'm not saying that some people that are rich don't act that way, because they do. But more people, like Jay said, when they roll up with that, fancy suit. I mean, it was like that sales guy thing,
You're
whatever,
so right.
that taxi guy thing.
Yes.
He literally, this dude rocks in here and
with a Mercedes
and he's talking to me about a bunch of business stuff, and ultimately, when I turned him down, like that, I wasn't interested in what he was trying to give me. He literally got like puffed up.
This is like a $400 shoe.
Oh no, he said he's an $800 shoe and this $400 pair of shoes I've got on, and you're going to tell me?
Well, you take your $1,200 in liquid assets and get the fuck out the door.
That's what I told him. I said, I mean, like, what does that mean to me? Because you're wearing $1,200 worth of stuff, I'm supposed to care about what you have to say? Not at all.
Yeah.
I would respect you if you weren't telling me bullshit. You know
exactly.
And that's what it is. So, anyways, wow, that got on a tangent. Didn't it?
Sometimes we do it.
Sometimes I don't even remember what the comment was that got us on that tangent.
I'm gonna crush these couple because there's that girl upstairs that wants to try and meet you. So I want to try and see if we can meet her.
Let's try to meet her.
Okay, so let me see
her
which
name
ones.
better be Delilah.
All right, so Simple Man said that he's going for the Lucy then. And when I get the Blue-Eyed Lucy, I'm definitely going to be getting one from you.
Oh, yeah.
I have a 50-gallon tank. Is that set up too big?
It's too big to start with. So start with something like a
20, 10, 30 gallon, right?
10, 15, 20-gallon max, and then work your way up to that 50 once it gets to a year and a half old. Right now, it would swim in there, and it wouldn't do well. But thank you. Call us. Ask any questions you want. We'll help you out.
Let Roses Burn says, thank you. You take a lot of pictures of pickles, so I just wondered. Custom gifts coming soon. She's just beautiful, and emeralds and stuff are great.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love them.
Yeah, they're my favorite.
You just don't have the relationship with them. I always say emerald tree boas, green tree pythons, the fish of the reptile world. You put them in a tank and you look at them.
Yeah.
You don't play with them.
Tim says, do you think Viper Keeper drops his snakes a lot? Love your enthusiasm. Helps me be a better person.
I have literally not watched one thing that Viper Keeper's put out in probably 10 years, so I don't know that he drops snakes. I just don't watch his stuff. I don't
Don't even know who that is.
He's a venomous snake keeper, and I mean, he's obviously got a lot of venomous snakes, but when I did watch him, I always felt like he really preached about him being like the best of the best. And it seemed like he was always seconds away from being bitten. And I was just always like, well, I'm seeing a lot of
rookie shit.
Like you're about to die, but yet like everyone's looking at this guy as like he's the best. And maybe I'm not a venomous guy, so by trade, so maybe that's the forte in venomous world. But like I know one time there was a video where he was like cleaning a king cobra cage and let the king cobra just loose in his room, and he turned around and he was like, Where's the king cobra? I can't find the king cobra. And I just thought to myself, if I did that, the internet would break with hate. You know what I mean? So again, that's no bash on him. I'm not bashing him by any stretch. I just haven't watched him.
Yeah, I haven't watched him either. Yeah. G. Robertson says, hello, Brian and Jay. Thank you for all you do. And Mr. Simple Man says, hope you have a great night, guys.
Well, I appreciate both you guys.
We love you guys.
I appreciate you guys so much. And we've got someone upstairs, so we're going to go run and try to see if we can meet her. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thank you guys for all your super chats. You guys are absolutely amazing. You guys crushed it, and I appreciate it. Remember, next weekend, we'll either have this solo plus Jay, or we're going to have Andy Brandy Casagrande. That's going to be a banger, guys. You guys do not want to miss it. And we'll take questions from you guys just like we did here. Ask shark questions.
Yeah, shark-related stuff.
Discovery Channel, Nat Geo, BBC,
filming,
traveling around the world. With the most celebrity he's met. There's a lot to ask this dude, man. And so get your questions ready if he comes in next week. If not, we'll do this again. But I'm really excited. So I love you guys, and I'll definitely see you next week, okay?
Absolutely.
Have a good one, guys.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right. That was good.
Yeah.
Almost 7.